Oh dear. This has had a little bit of an accident. It says here out of service. I'm not surprised. Automated system coming soon. Alright, scan QR code for your nearest pillar box. Oh dear, I don't know what that means. Anyway, probably something AI robotic, but anyway, can't post anything there right now. There's this famous Oxford barber shop here that's still accepting customers from other dimensional realms. Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV. Well, I'm off on another adventure, guys, not long after the last one. And I'm off going back to the LAPIS Conference. Now, this is a conference that I last went to in 2020. Was it 2022? It was a few years ago they last had one, and they took they took 2 years break, and now they've got another one coming up, which will be pretty interesting to see. So, yeah, I'll tell you. Let's go there, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it. And this is the event I'm going to go and see. Looks good, doesn't it? At LAPIS 2025. They got a new venue. It's not at the YMCA anymore. St Anzac Servicemen's Club. Just £59. That's pretty good for the weekend. It really, really is. That's a pretty cheap event. We've got Matthew Williams. Yes, UFOs, crop circles, and military secrets. The long and mysterious path to the Red Door. Gale Fiddler, owls are not what they seem. Magic and occult musings. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Owls, of course, are always very spooky creatures. Andy Roberts, flying saucer cult and contactees of the 60s and 70s. I'm not his favourite person, is Andy Roberts, but hopefully we can get on all right just for the sake of this particular event. Stu Neville, 50 years of 40 in television. Oh, I love that. It's the only TV I do like. Genevieve Gorrell, are we living in an MMORPG, a massively multiplayer role-player game? Good question. I hope it's a fun one. Ruth Morris, Bigfoot, folklore, footprints, and a whole lot of orbs. Yes, that's the... You've got to have Bigfoot somewhere, haven't you? John Billingsley, Talking Heads, reflection on a capital idea. Images of human heads in folklore. Right, yeah. That's interesting. That's going to be interesting. Heads are going to roll. Joanna Walpole, Haunted Chingle Hall, Lancashire, tour guides experiences. And that's the ghost side of thing. You've got to have that as well. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. It's been a while since they've done one of these events. The last one was 2000. When was it? It was 2022, and so they've had 2 years off. And now they're back, and it's a full weekend. Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, looking forward to this enormously. Now the bells are ringing right now for 9 o'clock. Got plenty of time to get to the station. It's really good the LAPIS Conference is now on again, because I really like the last few that were done. I mean, this is the third one I've been to. They've always been really, really good. The prime reason I started going to them was because basically it was kind of like an alternative to Probe. It was in the same venue, that is the YMCA. And most of the people who went were pretty much the same people. Even though the conference itself, I mean, the content and I suppose what you might call the cultural policy of the conference is very different to Probe. It's far less woo-woo. It's more sceptical, or not completely sceptical. It's Fortean. It's kind of like more scientific than Probe. You won't get like Paula Paradima coming on stage and talking about her animal, you know, her cloned animal etheric bodies and things like that. You won't get anything like that at LAPIS. But you do get some of the same people. Some of the speakers are the same. Indeed, Probe is not completely credulous. A lot of the Probe conference is actually it is actually also very sort of like Fortean. So I mean, I don't want to write off Probe completely, because I suppose I am more into the more scientific side of things than the sort of serious woo, as Kev Baker used to call it. I'm more into that. I'm going to have to turn the camera around because of the sunshine. I'm more into that than I am the kind of like crystals and tarot cards thing. I'm not against that. I'm not against it. I don't dismiss it like the skeptics do. But it's just not my particular forte, I suppose. Actually, I'm going to
start filming again when we're in the shade because it's too sunny here. There's a St Mary's Tower. Funnily enough, like you see, there's a very famous painting done by John Turner of this scene, what you're seeing right now, which hasn't changed actually. It hasn't much actually changed. So it hasn't changed much since he did that painting over 200 years ago. But in the painting, he specifically made the road look a lot wider. It's just for effect, I suppose. A bit strange, but there you go. But anyway, yeah, I'm quite a fan of the more sort of level-headed stuff, I must say. And this is it. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting because I mean, the last one was very good. I remember the last one was excellent, and I really enjoyed it. Definitely. Now, this is not the timing of this conference is not very good, and it's through no fault of the organisers. It's just what's happened since. In fact, quite recently, events have happened, which means there's a lot I want to say about certain subjects which I can't say now, and partly that's well, there's 4 different things actually which make the timing of this conference bad. One of them's personal, the other 3 are like woo-woo, Hapanwo-esque. So we'll deal with the Hapanwo-esque ones first. The age of disclosure is dropped. In fact, it's dropping today. The day I go away. It's going to be a few quid on Amazon Prime probably. And of course, as you know, I've started a watch party for it, which is actually my most recent video. I won't be able to watch it till I get home. By then, no doubt, people will be sending me loads of spoilers. I've asked people not to, but no doubt they will. In fact, I'll try and watch it before I go on social media. But people will text me and they'll just say, "Oh, Ben, it's this, it's that, it's the other." I know they will. Somebody won't get the message and they'll send me spoilers. I'm kind of, as you know from the trailer, I got an impression of what it might be like. What's also happened, of course, is that NASA have released, quote unquote, their own version of their own data, or some of their data, on 3i Atlas. Now I say released in quote unquote because the press conference was a complete whitewash. I did cover it, I filmed it. I was actually away at the time. Obviously it will be explained in an upcoming video. I was not at home, but I did actually manage to record the press conference. It's absolute rubbish. The Angry Astronaut has done a brilliant video just yesterday actually, explaining how there's some kind of, firstly there's, along with the deliberate suppression, AI is essentially developing a kind of skeptic lobotomy, because the skeptics are currently flooding the discourse with, oh, it's a comet, it's a comet, it's a comet type things. And AI, you know, despite its name, is not actually intelligent. It's going to only go by measuring trends on the internet. It cannot actually work out for itself what's true or false. And when Angry actually cornered this Grok, he cornered Grok and said, look, you do realise you're contradicting yourself, you do realise that this is all not true, and Grok eventually immediately backed down like it does and says, yes, you're right, I made this mistake. I've had this experience talking to AI actually. And of course James has apparently come clean. We have the conveniently told confession story from James, the guy with the pipe. I made 2 videos about this bloke, and now he's suddenly come out with this big mea culpa. Yes, it was me. I faked the whole thing. Well, as I've said before, as I've explained many times before, a confession is a claim too. This is something the skeptics don't understand. The moment someone confesses something, they just say, right, case closed, drop it. And they drop it like a hot potato, and they just say, that's it, not going to look at it again. We have a confession, that's the end of it. But confessions are a claim too, and confessions can be falsified. I'll give some examples in my skeptic talk. I'll be addressing that when I get back as well. So with those 4 things all dropping at the same time, I just hope there won't be a 5th, whatever it is. That is what launches this particular event. This is the moment, this is the stormy waters onto which the good ship Hapanwo sets sail for Lapis Island. But we're going to still set the sails, start the engines, and we're going to We're going to put the rudder straight, nevertheless, and see how far we go. Okay, I've reached Bill Clinton's Willie, and now I've got to try and find my way into the station. And this, believe it or not, these roadworks are still going on. They're still going on. After how many bloody years? 3-4 years, something like that. I mean, you guys probably know better than I do, because I've got a record of when all this started in my videos whenever I travel around here now. And because the areas where they're working are the same, it's all stuff in the road. The actual way into the station changes from now and again. You've got to follow the signs. And when they actually move this Andromedan scout ship finally, we can actually get things go back to normal. It's not going to look. This is the thing. There's nothing new there to see. There's nothing different. Look at the size of that crane. Yeah. Because what are they up to? Because basically it's all stuff underground. So this is the way to the Oseley Bridge bus stop. Pedestrians this way, right? Okay, so let's go. So it seems to be pretty much the same here. Kia is the company that's actually doing this. It's the building. It's the civil engineering contractor. Nothing to do with Starmer. You'll be glad to know. And now finally I can get into Oxford Station. That's interesting. Some non-conformist folk artist has decided to add something to the livery of Great Western Railways. Quite an improvement, I think. Well, welcome to Oxford Station, everyone. Well, we're off to a not very good start. The train I'm supposed to get to is currently 6 minutes late. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but I've got to get my connection in Birmingham, which means I have to find my way through Birmingham Station, which is a bit like being Ulysses in the labyrinth avec minotaurs, and I don't have a ball of string with me. Oh dear. It's a lovely. What I can say, which is positive, here I am in Stalag 17, as you can see, is it's a nice cold morning. See the ice on the roof of the station building there, yeah. That's how I like my winters, cold and icy. That's something good. But anyway, regulars will know I'm not a big fan of the smoking iron horse. I much prefer going by coach. Unfortunately, National Express and Megabus are so crap these days that they've done away with their most convenient routes, which means there's several places I used to be able to get a coach to, which I can't get now because their routes just make it so inconvenient. If I went by coach to Lytham St Anne's, I would literally have to either arrive like at 10:30 at night, or leave the previous evening, that is yesterday evening, and then spend extra money on accommodation. So it is train or nothing, unfortunately. But the good news is I'm being picked up from Crewe by some friends, so I'm doing the last part of the journey by car. I don't have my own car, as you know, but I am travelling in someone else's. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I mean, the train's currently, it's not due to get here till, what is it? Oh, it's now expected 10:47, so it's getting worse. That's great. Here we go.
Manchester Piccadilly is delayed by approximately 8.
No, it's 8 minutes now. It's 8 minutes. It's getting better and better. Oh yeah. So, well, if I miss my connection, I'll just have to get the next one. But the connection leaves 11:04. I don't take about an hour to get to Manchester, which means I'll if it gets much worse, you know, I'll have to like rush through Birmingham Station, and there's no way I find my way from whatever red zone or blue zone or yellow zone or rainbow coloured zone I have to get to, going in and out of turnstiles to get to the bloody platform I need. You're not sorry. Okay, I did sit down, but I'm getting up now. I'm going to miss my connection. I'll try and find the next one.
Welcome on board this Avanti West Coast service to Glasgow Central. Calling at...
She never tells us what
If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text British Transport Police.
There's your train spotter moment, guys. This is the train I came on. Yeah, very nice. Avanti West Coast Pendolino. Very modern train.
12:16 Northern service to Manchester Piccadilly via Manchester Airport. Order to Sandbach, Thomas Chapel, Watergate, Milton, Style, Manchester Airport, Neil Green, Gatwick.
That's the Avanti West Coast Triangle. That's where they get the UFOs. See the end of it. Not one that one, that one I saw in Ben in the Desert. Oh, that was big. This one's much smaller. That one went on throughout. That one went to about 5 minutes to go past. Well, welcome to Crewe. I made it. Slightly late. I've now got a bit of a wait because my friends they're still in their car on their way here, travelling from South Wales. So they're going to meet me here. It was all right. I mean, I didn't catch my connection in Birmingham, like I said, but I got one soon after. I was lucky. I got one just a few minutes later on a different platform, so I'm not that late. It doesn't really make much difference because my friends won't be here till 2 p.m. They did say they'd probably be a bit later, so I'm now going to... They're going to meet me in the shop here. This is the sandwich shop. I'm not entirely sure how they're going to get in and out of the station though, so I'll see if that's possible because I might not be able to get back in there. Okay, so let's see how that goes. Anyway, while I'm on my way, and also I've got a text message from Colin. He's going to be there, which is really cool. There's the Crewe Arms Hotel, 1880. Oh, it's just an old thing. I've been here before. It's weird. I've been here before, and I'm trying to think when. I can just sense I've been here before. The moment I got off the train, I thought, I recognise this place. I recognise the station. And I thought, where have I been here before? Where else have I been? It's like one of those weird feelings you get. Maybe you viewers could tell me and remind me where it was, because I can't remember, but I know I've been here before. Anyway, I'm just having to wander around. I don't know how the hell I'm going. I've just got quite a long time to wait, so I thought I'd have a little explore. So I don't know where I'm exactly going to explore, but I will explore anyway. Sometimes it's just pleasure. It's sometimes just nice to walk around somewhere you've not been to before, and kind of, without a map or anything like that, any idea what it is, just looking around the place and seeing what you can find. Sometimes that's good fun. There's a garden centre over there. I might go and have a look at that. Yeah. Welcome to Crewe Station, there you go. But hey, there's a B&Q. Might be nice. I might find something interesting. Well, there's not much to look at in there. Once you've seen one B&Q, you've seen them all. It's a very big one though. But I know there's a Lidl. I might go and see if I can go up to the other side of town where it looks a bit more traditional and older, and there'll probably be somewhere I can get a cup of coffee or something. That's what I want next. So there we go. See, they put some grit down. This is up north. It gets really cold up here. And look at the chemtrails. Don't be surprised if there's a big change in the weather coming up. Guys, well, I've just come out of this place, CJ's Cafe. I've just been there for an hour, and it's a lovely place. So there's a fantastic sweet white tea and coffee, I'll tell you. If ever you're in Crewe, do pop in there. All right, guys, I'm now heading back to the station because I'm meeting my friends in the car park here in Crewe. By the way, I always remember Crewe because, of course, like many prominent places in the North Country, it features in its grim up north by the KLF. It comes between Buxton, is it? Buxton and Warrington, that's it. Bolton, Barnsley, Brooks, Buxton, Crewe, Warrington, Widnes, and Leeds. There we go then. Yeah, it's just a short walk. The chemtrails are, oh, they're terrible. They're getting worse. Yeah. But they're very nice. I've been reading FT. There's a thing in FT about like these strange black pillars in the sky, and the skeptics are saying these are just like gaps in the clouds made by the planes, an absence of a trail, you know, rather than a presence of a trail. I don't quite get that, but it's interesting. These certainly are nothing like that. And we're on our way again. I'm in the car with Rhiannon and Michael, who you're familiar with. Well, here we are. Rhiannon's just dropped me off. We're back here near the big crossroads, and there, of course, is the travel lodge where I'll be staying. The trawl boat is just up here. It's all looking familiar, and of course, this wall is just classic, isn't it? That's classic, unique local architecture. All right, I've just checked in, just walking up through the streets in the dregs of sunshine. That's the bad thing about coming this time of year, is it gets dark very early. But Colin is here, and I go and meet him. Dr. Colin Woollyford, and he's up near these up at the trawl boat, which are where is it exactly? I know it's. I've got to try and get my bearings again. It's just up here, I think. Yeah, that's. Where's the bloody trawl boat? I think it's down there, so I should remember these things. Oh, there it is. It's right in front of me. The good old trawl boat. He's already said, "Do you want a drink?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's already ordered one for me on the app. So yeah, because of course it is a Wetherspoons. Of course, where else would it be except in a Wetherspoons? You'll know this place if you're familiar. Oh, this is like coming home. I love it. I love coming home. There's a strange balloon there. Brilliant. Alright guys, here's Dr. Colin Woollyford. He's here. Did you want to be on my video, David?
Well, I don't know what I'll say, but I'll say something.
Alright, go on. This is David. He's got a great t-shirt there.
Undesirable
number one, Harry Potter.
I think I'm undesirable number 2.
Since I've been shot, I'm a little bit nervous of my impression of whether I'm being filmed, but anyway, there you are. I'm David Walker. You're not live on Hapanmo TV, but you've been recorded. My website is www.marconisyndrome.com. Right, check it out. Check David's website out. Yeah, it's been I think you've been on before, actually, because he's a familiar figure in this particular world, just like Colin. Yeah. And I'm here. I've got my very appropriate T-shirt on. You see.
That's certainly not been shot.
That's it. Have you? Oh dear. Like Charlie Kirk, but you survived. Like Charlie Kirk. But you survived, yeah. All right, yeah.
Well, he died by air gun pellet. They're surprised at the boy that lived. Surprised how far it travelled inside my body.
Oh dear, dearie me.
From here to here.
Yeah. Oh, nasty. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're having our drinks and we're going to head off to as tradition, Friday evening, we're going to go to the Salters Wharf.
A long time,
yeah, and it's great to be back here with these guys. The Toby Carvery. There we are. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're approaching the seafront now with Colin and David, and we're going to there's a sign there for the Toby Carvery. We're right on its doorstep. I'm pretty hungry now, you know, guys.
Yeah, I'm hungry too.
Yeah, I'm kind of like ready for a meal. Well, Rhiannon and Michael are meeting us there. Just got to cross over this. Are they actually going to stop?
Up the memories of going here with Heidi.
Oh yes, I got a Heidi. I mean, she was here.
This girl's a nice person. I liked her. So
Yeah. And here, look, this is the holiday island. This is all coming back to me. There's the railway carriage restaurant here. Oh, there's the lifeboat station, and the Toby Carvery's over there. Oh, it's wonderful. It's like it hasn't changed a bit. It's really wonderful to see. Oh yeah. So it's a shame it's dark, but there you go. I mean, it's not that does happen. Yeah, there's the YMCA, and there's the railway carriage thing here. There is a cinema here. Yeah, and there's the Toby's down there. So, and there's the railway carriage restaurant. You can't see these things very well. And over there is the lifeboat station. But there is a cinema here, yeah. I've not been to it.
Yeah, I know.
The Pleasure Island, that's it. This is where we are. And it's really, really nice here.
Let's look at what films there are.
Oh, you can see, let's have a look. What have they got? I'm not going to watch that shit. I fed up with remakes are always crap. Remakes and pointless sequels.
Wicked. There's that.
Christmas,
There's that sequel.
Wicked. That must. Yeah, I don't know if it's a sequel or what. The running. Oh no, they're not remade. Another bloody remake. The Coral. Don't know what that is. Now you see me, now you don't.
Written by Alan Bennett.
What the hell? Why can't they make new original movies anymore? Hollywood seems to be suffering from the most deplorable case of writer's block. Yeah, they don't do what writers should do. When you get writer's block, I know this because I'm a writer. Go out, get drunk, stuff your face, don't write for a week, and then you'll be fine. You'll be absolutely fine. You'll get over it. Yeah. Amusements. Ah, this is. That was shut last summer. Yeah, well, at least there are for me, Michael and Rhiannon, but you guys can join us, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They could just ask for a slightly bigger table. I mean, we're not in bloody season. It shouldn't be a problem. I mean, it should be all right.
Yeah. Do you prefer white or red or rosé or whatever?
Oh, red.
Red, okay. Red's cool.
Red. We're just discussing the wine. David here's a bit of a wine connoisseur like me.
Yeah.
So here we are, guys, back at the traditional Friday night Toby Carvery. Right, guys, I only filled with the carvery. I think you've seen that one before. But I had a lovely traditional meal with David and Colin.
Yeah.
I had the usual big carvery thing. The waitress was very nice. She spilt wine all over me at one point. But it's not exactly my Sunday best I'm wearing right now.
Paid for the red wine.
Yeah, it went on. Most of it went on my. Most of it went on. Did you get a free glass? They should have given you a free glass for that. Yeah, or giving you some money back.
£10 off the tip.
Yeah.
We were going to give 20 quid tip, we gave £10.
Yeah, well that'll do.
And that was between 5 of us.
Yeah, but I mean basically it went on most of it went on my trousers, and these are my work trousers. They've had much worse poured over them in on their time. And she's very nice. She's very apologetic, so I don't have a problem.
I don't know if she did it. Who knocked it over?
She did.
She did.
The waitress, yeah.
My dessert dish, and then.
Yeah, I had a lovely dessert. I had the Cuddy Clone Sundae, which is bloody gorgeous. If ever in a Toby Carvery, please have that one. It's only £5.50, and it's like really huge. It's huge Sundae. No toilets. Those are new. Not seen them before. We're now going to the offshore, which is the Speaker's Hotel. And I'm going to have to bite my tongue. If Andy Roberts is there, I'll bite my tongue and be nice. At least I'll try anyway. I won't be rude or swear at him. Well, he's not very often. So is this it? Oh, yeah, I've been here before, so it's got a different name, but
Wasn't the one that was.
oh, I can't remember what it used to be called. This place.
Was it
Linden, the Linden. That's it. Yeah, it was the Linden. Now it's called Offshore. But it's actually pretty nice in there. I suppose it's a good name for a seaside hotel. It's got its Christmas trees up. This is a bit like Eyes Wide Shut, isn't it? Yeah. Ooh. There we go. And that's where they keep the aliens down there. We're going up this way.
To spoon.
We're here at the hotel, the Offshore Hotel. We're having some wine. Colin's having some.
Tell me what, I'll get your next drink. What would you like?
David, what is this?
I'm alright actually, Dave, because I'm struggling with that.
What is this mouthwash called?
That's a Negroni.
Negroni, yeah. It's not
I got the bar to specially make it
right.
because they didn't have it on the menu, so it cost me about three or £4 more than all the other cocktails. So it's £15.85 for Negroni.
Oh, right. Well, I hope you enjoy it.
I'm liking it, yeah, I'm loving it.
Good for you. This is the famous T-shirt there, and there's Janet with the T-shirt, established in 1980. Well done, Janet. Looking forward to tomorrow. What's on the back? And here's all the various ones over the years. There we go. Hey, nice one. Oh, brilliant, brilliant. I've got to get one of them.
Of you doing a dump to show how amazing these toilets
Did
were.
I take a what? Did I take a what?
I don't know.
Did I take a what?
A stick of the dump.
Did I take a film myself doing a dump?
Well, you said the toilets were so posh, bro. That you'd want to take a memory of this event.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like normally I'm used to crapping in my Wetherspoons toilets, which are okay, but this place.
I know. What I'll do is I'll show you before I go. I'll show the viewers how exactly grand and clean and posh they are. I'm sure Prince Andrew himself would be delighted to go down there with some 14-year-old girl. I'm absolutely certain. Yeah, right.
They're Teflon, those toilets. The shit doesn't touch the sides.
Yeah, you don't have to see that. Who needs a hotel when you've got one lamb? Anyway, I'm here with Matthew. Dave is back at the hotel. He's back at the other hotel. He found a woman he's trying to chat up. And
we're really glad that David has found it looks like a soul partner, so he's busy. He's busy getting in there.
And so we're now heading for the Spoons for a nightcap. Hey guys, we had a really good drink in the Wetherspoons, and now we're gonna go to bed. I'm here back. It's only about 11:30, so it's quite nice and early, and get up tomorrow for the event. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I'll have to make sure I'm not sure what I'm having for breakfast. I'll give you the room tour tomorrow, because right now I'm just doing this right now, so just think I'm going to go to bed. But anyway, it's been a good day. I got here all right, met some people, had fun, and so take it easy. Well, good morning everyone. Welcome to this Lytham St Anne's. I've got this lovely Mary Poppins-like view across the rooftops of Lytham St Anne's. There's a unique red purple like brick colour, and I'll just give you the quick room tour. Here's my room. It's Saturday morning, first day of the conference, and this is my room. We don't have the cherries on this particular video. We've got on this room. We have the standard Travelodge cherries have been replaced by this strange thing. Looks like some sea, and there's a what's this around here? Looks like a boat. It's a boat with a cat and an owl. Oh, the Owl and the Pussycat Went to Sea, the Edward Lear poem. Yeah, in a beautiful pea green boat. Yeah, that's it. Can you see it? There's a bit of reflection there. Yeah. All right. So there's the mirror. There's the gin portal, and now we go into the toilet. Another gin portal there. It's your standard stuff there. Psycho shower and sticker on the wall so you don't get sued. Yeah, that's pretty much. And there's these disposable bags here. As Alan Partridge used to say, they know I'm a man. I keep Loose Worthers originals in them. Okay guys, so that's basically my room. Hardly worth it, was it? Here we go. Yeah, it's lovely, it's lovely. I'm home, kind of thing. That's how I feel right now. There's the Travelodge where I'm staying. And there's the, like I said, the red purple brick. Hey, how you doing? You alright, mate? Right. This is, you know this chap. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah, I'm heading for breakfast, and I'm going to go up and I'll meet you up at the venue. Yeah. Take care. Yeah. There's another Lapis person. There's the unique, I say, red purple brick colour. Yeah. Here I am, feeling like I'm back where I'm in a place where I really love. I don't actually, this is out of my way where I'm going now. I'm heading for the crossroads where the pier and everything is. But I just feel it's just something I like to do. I like to experience the town by heading for this, the heart of the town, which is this spot here, the big crossroads, where there's one big road leading up to the station, and there's the road leading down to the pier, and the big main road between Blackpool and Lytham, which is sort of perpendicular here. Oh, on the subject of perpendicular things, I've got a lot to say in a minute. There's the Lord Derby, used to be called the Admiral, the pyramidal Illuminati pyramidal pub, which you're all very familiar with. And here's they got rid of the spikes on top of the, remember the blue spikes on top of the lamppost? They seem to have got rid of them. Anyway, the weather has changed. It's milder now, it's less cold. I'm not wearing my jumper today, but it's raining, unfortunately. It's not actually raining this moment, but it's sort of raining. You can see it's been raining, and it probably will again. The cloud is making nice shapes in the sky, which is always very nice. Yeah, happy memories. The Admiral pub, the Lord Derby. I remember my early days with Probe, when I first started going to Probe. That was where Matthew Deluge used to always hang out holding court with loads of other people. And it was always fun. It was always fun. Obviously I fell out with Matthew Deluge, like most people did. But it was a fun thing at the time. And we're going for the Pleasure Island, that's where I'm heading. Obviously, you'll see in a minute I'm actually gone out, I've taken a little loop out of my way. I've taken a slight loop out of my way to see the pier. And they have got the spikes on top of those blue spikes. They've got them on top of the lampposts here. I don't know what they're supposed to represent, but there you go. here's the pier. I need to pop in, and they've got to get a present for someone actually. And they actually have evil fascist Nazis. They have the Union flag there. I'm glad they do. Yeah, it's great to be back. Had a great time yesterday evening. I didn't get that shot of the toilet I wanted, but I'll go back and show it you again. That's the toilet in the. That is the toilet in the hotel. And I found out a bit about that hotel. That hotel is actually not the Linden. It's been revamped. It's a new hotel that's just been built because they knocked down the Carlton and several other hotels next to it, and they built that thing instead. They built a big hotel. The Carlton, of course, was where Mrs. Terre Blanche had her dominion. I'm sure I'm not alone in not missing that one tiny bit. So we're popping in here into the shops and just to buy something from here. Probably is a good place to buy it. And on the pier, I've got to buy someone a present. Now, here we come to the seafront. I'll walk along the seafront. That'll be nice. Anyway, I'm actually going back to the Toby Carvery, the Salters Wharf, because apparently they have a breakfast buffet there. So that's where I'm going right now. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning. Let's have a look at the beach and the sea. I'm going to stop filming now because I'm going to take a couple of stills now for the title shots. Here we go, along here. Oh, it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely. It seems I'm the only one here at the moment. It's a bit windy, so I'll have to turn the camera towards myself. I think I'm the only one here at the moment. The tide is in. Don't often see that, but the tide is actually in right now. Or coming in. Nearly in. Goes out for about a mile. It's been an interesting. I wonder if this thing opens, because I might want to get the rock from there. I've got to buy some peppermint rock for a friend. She wants to stick a peppermint rock, and because she used to live here years ago. And I told her I was going back to see her, and she said, I haven't been there for years. Will you get me some peppermint rock? I said, yeah, sure. But it's possible this is shut out of season, so we might not actually. I might not be able to get it from there. I'll get it from somewhere. But yeah, but I'm gonna buy her a peppermint rock, and yeah, I'm going to the pub. Yeah, what else was there? Yeah, oh, perpendicular. Yeah, perpendicular. What's that word mean? It means kind of sideways on, a bit like I am related to general society. But in this case, it refers to 3i Atlas. Now, Avi Loeb has just written an article, and I still keep up with them on my phone. I claimed my half-hour free Travelodge Wi-Fi this morning, and Avi Loeb has written an article where he explains that one of the most interesting thing in the NASA high-rise image is the fact that the tail, there were, of all the sort of tails and plumes and jets coming out of 3i Atlas right now, there's one that's really weird. Now, as many of the skeptics have no doubt already pointed out, to great glee, anti-tails are not unique. They do happen. You get them with other comets. Very rare, less than 5% of comets have anti-tails, but they do have them. What no comet has had before is a tail that's neither sunward nor anti-sunward. So in other words, the classic tail away from the sun is there. The tail towards the sun, rarer, still there. But what you never see is a tail that's at 90 degrees angle to the sun, or thereabouts. Well, guess what? 3i Atlas has got one of those. That's probably the weirdest, possibly the weirdest anomaly yet. And the scientists are all baffled by it. They don't know what's going on. And who can blame? I mean, I find that baffling. So, what is going on? I don't know. Again, this is just another anomaly to pile up on top of all the others. No doubt I'll be doing another 3i Atlas video at some point, even though you're getting sick and tired of them. I'm not. So, the question remains, what is it? That's it. What is it? Is it really a piece of technology? Or is it something else? Or is it just a natural object that's just really, really weird? There's no answer now. Anyway, here we are, guys. It's the Island Cinemas. And it's where we were last night when it was dark. And I'll go a different way this time. There's the railway carriage restaurant, which I've been in. It's literally an old railway carriage that somehow found its way here. God knows how they moved it here without railway tracks, but they managed to put it here. And again, it may not be open this time of year. And here we have, as you can see here, look, you see they've even got the railway tracks still underneath it. You'll see in a minute. See the railway tracks there under? There's the wheels and the tracks underneath it. Yeah, it's a real old railway carriage. And you go in there and there's a restaurant. It's really cool. It's a really cool thing. You can buy rock in there. I want to get some rock. I don't like rock myself, but this lady I know does. Yeah. And here's the Toby. There's the first some people I've seen. And gonna go and get breakfast now. I'll give it. This is just an experiment. If it's too expensive or not good enough, I'll just go back to having Wetherspoon's breakfasts. But anyway, it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back. Looking forward to the day ahead. Surfside. It's have I been to St Anne's at this time? I have been to St Anne's in sort of winter time when I did my talk for New Horizons, and I'll tell you what, it is actually different. I mean, I've never been to St Anne's at the peak of the season in the summer. I only used to go sort of spring, autumn time for probe, and now of course it's got to really begin to winter now, when nothing much goes on here. It doesn't have the illuminations of Blackpool, but yeah, it still has a charm of its own. It really does. Here we go. I'm here with Dr. Colon Wallyford here, and we've just had our carvery. That was actually pretty good. I mean, there could have been more variety. It reminded me a bit of the Indian Wells Resort, but it's cheap, and you get like a cooked breakfast buffet, and that's very good. Yeah, so that's actually pretty good. And we can take a nice leisurely stroll up to the venue now. So this place I've never been before, so somewhere new to discover. Hey guys, well the sun is shining through the clouds in a very beautiful way, and Colin and I have decided we've left the Toby Carvery and we're now heading along the seafront. Colin's got to get some cash out, being the dangerous dissident that he is, and so we're going to walk along the seafront. There's a little mini railway here, see? It's cool. Yeah, the weather's improved actually. The rain has stopped. The temperature's risen. It's much warmer today than yesterday, and the tide is. Still see the tide's in. I think the sea. This is about as far in as the sea comes, and it goes out for like about 2 miles. And it's actually dangerous to walk to the water's edge when it's tide's out, because it comes back in really quickly and can drown you. There's lots, as you can see here, there's loads of warning signs here about that. This is a lovely, it's like I say, it's kind of quiet. Imagine Blackpool as if Blackpool is some wild, crazy, spiky-haired youth.
It's a big sandcastle.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. If Blackpool is some kind of wild, reckless, spiky-haired youth with a leather jacket, Lytham St Anne's is a kind of middle-aged, sedate, sort of accountant type man with a semi-detached house. That's a good way to put it. And here is the famous lifeboat station. That's where the lifeboats, that's the ramp is where you get the lifeboats into the sea. And there's the famous pier. And somewhere along I've got to buy a stick of rock for a friend. So if I can get some peppermint rock, I promise to buy my friend some of that. There's the famous piling in the distance there. It's sort of symbolic of the town, really. Ah, lovely. And here we are walking up the high street, which is nice. In a minute there's the bar 15 is up here, which you'll all recognise. They've got new benches, that's nice. They weren't there last time. Are the penny farthing bikes still there? Do you remember those?
Oh, this used to be a bank.
Yeah, I think it was. The whalebone arches are still there. But it looks like I can't see the penny farthing bikes. Maybe they've done away with them. The bandstand over there is still there. So they've taken the spikes off the blue spikes off the top of the lampposts. They've still got them on the seafront, they haven't got them here. So I'll keep an eye out for the familiar sights. But you know, change comes to everything. You know, much as you love something, it changes. It's like in those Buddhist monasteries, they make these sand mandalas, these beautiful images out of sand, cut different coloured sand. You think, why do they do that? Do they glue them down? Do they glue it down or something? No, they just pour the sand in a pile and they make these beautiful images. And then they may take some photos of it and stuff, but then when they finish, they get a broom, a dustpan and brush, and they just sweep it all away. That is impermanence. Remember that line from that film, Little Buddha? This is impermanence. Everything you see around you, within 100 years, all the people you see will be dead. Or in 1,000 years, all these buildings will be ground into dust. And there is the number 15. Yeah. So that's kind of like, that's life, guys, yeah. But it's lovely to see this place again. And here's the big bridge coming up with all the buildings on it like that. Hey, here he is, he's large man. The bridge is coming up with all the... Okay, yeah. There's the famous bridge with all the buildings on, where the Monarch Hotel and the railway station is. It's over there. What's interesting is, you know, putting buildings on bridges is quite rare. I mean, very famous, there's the Ponte Vecchio in Florence. I think that's the only one that's the only one I'm aware of apart from this place. So that's something Lytham St Anne's has in common with Florence, Italy. Despite the sand mandala nature of reality, they still have these penny farthings, which is good. I've got there's some more Lapis people there, and over there is the Monarch Hotel, where I used to stay. I've not been there back there since that lady left it. What's her name left it?
Well, that was Tony's favourite, wasn't it?
He's at the Elsinghurst, which is somewhere along, it's one of those over there. That's where Tony used to stay every time. Tony, of course, very set in his ways. An earthquake wouldn't move him from his routine. The cover, nice. The first time I came here, I went and got myself a bottle of this convenience store, which is still open late at night. I remember when late on a Sunday night, this was still open. And there's a church. You know, you can almost get anything you want from there late at night. And now we go up to St Albans Road. There we go. And there's the church. This is all looking familiar to you, I'm sure. I remember many times taking this route, looking at all the Atlas Pizzeria. I recognise these names. Euronics, I don't know what that means. Sounds rude.
Yeah, Morris is sort of a seaside town they forgot to close down.
Yeah.
Come Armageddon, and that's every day's like Sunday.
Yeah, yes.
I wouldn't quite compare St Anne's. I think Blackpool was more befitting of a Armageddon seaside town.
Definitely, yeah. It's kind of like the Babylon of the north, isn't it? Definitely. But I'm always reminded of Jonathan Downes in Monster of the Mere, how he described it, the biggest shithole in the world. If you know, and he describes it in lurid terms.
So it's up here to the
Yeah. Oh, we go up here, and somewhere.
9 minutes away.
But down on Michael's staying somewhere.
Early.
Yeah, yeah, we just got to go past the YMCA, and then turn right at the YMCA, and then we go on this something called Hove Road. Watch out for the big puddle.
Yeah, I'm going to cross over a bit further down.
Oh, right, sure. And as I said, this is unique. I mean, this brick, the colour of this brick, sort of red with sort of mixing with a little bit of purple. I don't know how well it comes out on camera, but I can see it very clearly. Is a very unique colour, which I've not seen outside of Lytham St Anne's. Very strange that, but that's what it's like. We're almost at the Probe venue, the old Probe venue, the YMCA, and indeed, I came here 2 years ago for Earth Mysteries, the Earth Mysteries Conference. Mysterious Earth it was called, Mysterious Earth. I did a video of it, I should know what it's called. But, yeah, they was in there, if you remember, it's on my channel, you can go and look at it. It was a great conference, though the weather wasn't very good, and I made the big mistake of staying at the Travelodge in Blackpool. It meant a journey to and from Blackpool every day, which was either a 7-minute railway journey, or a walk, or a bus ride, and the trains went on strike. And so, oh god, that was a nightmare, that was. Shouldn't have done that. Should have forked out the extra £90 and stayed at St Anne's. The first time I came here in 2006, I went to this place by mistake. This is another YMCA centre, which I mistook for the one across the road. I waited there for half an hour and realised I was in the wrong place. I think I asked someone and they told me.
The Zumba class instead of paranormal talk.
And someone said, oh no, it's not here, it's over here at this YMCA centre. It's now the Paris Centre, it's not YMCA anymore, it's the Paris Centre. Mother of God, Star of the Sea, pray for the children, pray for me. I remember that much from my Roman Catholic youth. And then we cross over the big straight road. Nice wild garden, I like those. And there's the YMCA centre there, see. I think it was there, actually I think it was this place. I think I actually waited on those steps over there. It's not this, it's this. It's this the YMCA centre I went to by mistake. I think that was it. LAPIS are no longer using this venue anymore.
Want to stay at the...
Well, you see,
get Trump doing the Trump dance.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's great you got the village people to perform live. I didn't know they were still going. But this is the YMCA centre now. No longer in use by conferences, simply because they put their fees up. They doubled their prices. So they've basically it's too much. So unfortunately, lots of conferences are now no longer using this venue. It will always still have a special place in my heart because it is still a special place. Now I think we were supposed to turn right back there. Don't worry, you can turn right.
Okay. We can go up here and take the next right.
Right, yeah, it's all like a grid. It's blocks. Just easy to find your way around here. Yeah. This is the good old YMCA. Many happy memories in there. And this is where New Horizons St Anne's meets. And as you know, I've been here too. Did I film the one where I think I might have done when I went overnight on the coach. That was a big mistake. Going overnight on the coach. Yeah. I arrived at, like, I thought I'll sleep on the coach from Oxford to Blackpool. I didn't have to change, and I got to Blackpool. I slept about half an hour, and then Rob and Chrissy picked me up, and about 4 o'clock I had to mooch around for like a whole day, and then I was just going from cafe to cafe, see if I get 40 winks in a corner, you know, And I said, what do you want to do now? I said, can I sleep till the venue starts? So I got about an hour's sleep, and then I went and did my talk. It went surprisingly well. Is this where do we go down here?
That's the next one.
Next one, okay.
I think it's the main road, actually.
Yeah, it went surprisingly well, considering. And if you want to watch it, you can see it on. It's actually on my channel if you want to watch it. But I think it was my BBC one. I've done so many, I'll bloody forget. Yeah. But Colin and I have walked these. We've walked these shaded cobbles many times over the years. And now when it comes to lunchtime, there's not much option, unfortunately, unless this place we're at, the venue serves food. Unless the place we're at serves food. However,
We went to that pub a few times, didn't we?
yeah, there's a pub at the end you can go. You can get.
What was that one called?
I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, but it's a nice place. But to be honest, after the breakfast I've had, I would not want any lunch. Zero lunch for me, I think.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
It's a good thing I'm having a good breakfast. Something I don't normally have when I'm at home is a breakfast, a good breakfast. I usually have a cup of tea. It's off to work. Then I eat when I get home. Yeah, hi ho, it's off to work we go. Yeah. We're nearly there, guys.
Still ahead of schedule.
So it's the next one along Hove Road. It should be Hove Road.
This is Alexandra coming up. I don't know what road this is. This could be Hove Road.
Yeah, I know it's quite. I know it's the next one along from St Albans Road, so that should be easy enough. Any sort of peak experiences from your probe days or? Anything you particularly like?
The UFO sighting outside. People saw a UFO, didn't they?
Yeah, that was good. Mine might be maybe Ian R. Crane's talk, which he did, which is really good, and his talk was very good, and all the various fun times we had. The downside, probably bloody the first time Dean Warwick dying on stage.
Oh, that's supposed to be a good fish and chip place.
Oh, good, fish and chips, that's handy. Now this should be Hove Road, in which case we've got to turn left and we're there.
Apparently over this road for the right.
Is it? What's this road called then?
This is...
Yeah, Dean Warwick dying, that was quite something. This one is called, oh right, so we're not there yet, Alexandria Road, okay. So the next one along.
Oh, is that it there? That's it there, yeah. That's the place.
St Anne's Ex-Servicemen's Club, yeah. This is Alexandra Road.
Might be a bit early though.
I thought it was Hove Road.
5 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Well, this is it.
Ex-servicemen. So you've got...
File RAA, yeah.
And then you've got like the free fish.
Call affiliated. That's CLL affiliated. This is it. This is the venue. So there you go. We now just got to wait until the doors open, which should be around now. We don't know whether there's a special place for the actual location or not. I don't know. They've got the Christmas decorations up. So there we go. The venue, guys, it's like all mirrors everywhere. Makes it look bigger than it is, but it's still quite a sizable place. It's quite nice here, and they've got like 2 screens and everything. So it's a bit more pleasant than the YMCA, certainly.
60 as a moated farmhouse. The moat is long gone, although the shape of it is still there. It's filled in, grassed over.
Yeah, we're outside the St Anne's Ex-Servicemen's Club. The venue's upstairs at the top there, and there's these birds sitting on top of that house there, looking very Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah, we've just done the first session's over with Joanna Walpole, talking about a tour guide, talking about the ghost of Chingle Hall. Very interesting indeed. I'll say more about that later. There's a LAPIS card there. Someone's obviously a member. Yeah, I found that fascinating because that's a really interesting talk there. I got to ask a question. I'll say more later. Saw a few more other people I know. Zoe was there. I saw Zoe. I saw a couple of other people I recognised, didn't know their names. And I did bump into Andy Roberts, who's actually he's got a bookstall there, which includes some titles of his own. It wasn't too bad. I just went up to him and he sort of looked at me and he kind of looked away. He recognised me. And as I said, you know, maybe he thought I was going to have a go at him or something. But as I said, I'm not going to do that. So I just said hi. He said hi. He didn't say hi, Ben, but he did recognise me. I could tell. And then I sort of picked up his book Albion Dreaming, the book he wrote about LSD. And I said, oh, I remember I've heard a lecture of you. He said, oh, really? Yeah. So he knows I recognised him. And I said, yeah, he was, I said, you did a lecture at the, when was that, October Gallery, and Niall Murphy recorded it. He says, oh, that was a long time ago. He says, it must have been 2011 or so. And I says, yeah. It was on Shamanic Freedom Radio. Hey, all right. Did you have a good time? So yeah, how's things?
Good, Ben.
These guys are doing the technical work. We met them last night, yeah. So yeah, so sort of went down well. He knows I'm not going to cause any trouble. Yeah. Interesting decorations here, because this is a military institution. You've got there's a World War I scene, and here there's the Queen's Guard on parade. What you expect then? What do you have here? You have reptilians. This is the model for the Lapis t-shirt, so I don't know if that's Scully. There you go. Let's see what it is.
There's some more books on Facebook again.
Beyond the Graves of Leighton Cemetery. By Deborah Contessa Cameron Hargreaves. Blackpool's Victorian Burial Ground. And there's these books here. Robert Temple, I'm familiar with. Lost There's loads of great woo-woo books there. Anthony Peake. Darren Brown. That's off. He's a skeptic. God's Eden. The Mothman Prophecy. Some classics here. Dion Fortune, yeah. That'll keep every woo-woo in your life quiet. There's some more here.
Hello, Ben.
How you doing?
No, you're not on camera.
No, Jude gets here, but I'm sure. Just say hello, and they'll recognise your voice.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Juliet. But there's some really cool stuff here. The Romeo, that's a classic. That's a rare book. That is. That's Lyle Watson. I've got a Supernature. Yeah, that's a rare one, the Romeo era, because that's like Supernature's. But they're both out of print. Yeah. But it's quite cheap actually for some classic books.
Yeah, like I said, I want them to have new homes.
Oh, for the Second Coming. Oh, Andrew Collins. Oh, nice one. Terrifying true story. The Black Alchemist and the Seventh Sword. My goodness me. You want someone to keep you awake at night?
Oh, yeah.
We met earlier,
Fantastic. I watched the Paranormal Peep Show a lot.
Oh,
thank you. That's when I've seen them.
I'm really glad you enjoy it. It really makes a difference when I meet someone who watches the show.
It's why would it? Because we just like
what they sing. Some of you may know it's a quote from the work of filmmakers David Lynch and Mark Frost. In the world that they created, it is a coded message that comes from an unknown origin. It's originally thought to come from outer space, but it actually was generated from a world within our own.
Lunch break, guys. I'm just going to have a look at this. Is where we get our tea and coffee for a small donation, and that is UFO 99, the international conference. It's got. See you later, Zoe. Yeah. Nick Redfield, Lionel Fanthorpe, Joseph Escamilla, Graham Shepherd. Oh wow. That's in 1999. Oh wow, those were the days. Yeah. I met Lionel Fanthorpe, he's lovely. And that there is the lamp. It looks like a book there. 2018. Jenny Randalls, Alan Godfrey, Anne Winsper, Juliet Gregson, Richard Freeman, Rob White. I know quite a few of those people, yeah. Juliet we met earlier on. Yeah, it's really cool, yeah. And over here we have, let's look at these things here. This is UFO Files Casebook. Oh, Jenny Randalls dips her toe back into the waters of. That's from 40 Times, and that's what her review of the thing there. And that there's Janet. That's an article, a newspaper article about Janet there. And that is Blackpool Gazette. Watch the Skies for Alien Visitors by Richard Hunt. Paranormal Group. And it says here the UFO aspect of the group. You can pause and read this. Janet Walker from Paulton. People have been keen to. I don't want to imitate her voice, but people have been keen to get in touch with us about ghosts and similar to nothing, but we'd also like to hear more about UFO sightings. Yeah. Oh, that's a cool. It's been covered in the local media, and this is about Alan Godfrey and about what happened to him. That's in what newspaper is that? The Daily Mail, and that's the time he saw that strange craft. Alan did. That's when he's out on patrol one night, PC Alan Godfrey, and he did wreck his life. If you read his book, he got persecuted. They tried to plant drugs on him and everything. Really awful. That's our little display here, and this is the rest of the venue. I'm just going to have a look around here. This is the bar, which will be open later. And here we have some... Oh, hello. Hi. And we have some books here. Sacred Geometry, Folklore, Legends of Britain, Extraordinary Forms of Pythias the Greek. So I'm going to buy one of these, but I'm not sure which one yet.
Yeah.
There's so much to choose from.
My late brother was a great cultist, and I inherited all his collection.
Oh, wow.
I hadn't even really sorted them and known what to do with them. My thing is ghosts.
I'll never read all of them, I don't think.
No, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm interested in ghosts and UFOs and all kinds of stuff. I'm making a little video for YouTube right now. Do you want to be in it?
Yeah.
This is Joanna. Hi.
Hello.
You've just done a really interesting talk.
Thank you. I'm Joanna. Yeah, I'm the tour guide, one of the old tour guides from Chingle Hall. Ghostly things. So
pity it's not open to the public anymore. That's a great shame.
It's awful. The chap who bought it in 1995 basically just shut it down straight to the public. So of course all the tour guides all lost our jobs, and that was that, and it's so sad, terribly sad.
You did really interesting. Sounds like a wonderful place. I mean, really spooky and lots of history in there.
It was the queen of haunted houses. Since the modern ghost hunting, since all these programs, people don't know what ghost hunting is. They just come with all these gadgets that they don't even know how to work.
But half it's fake anyway. They make it fake for TV, don't they?
Oh, of course, absolutely. Yeah. It's all done specially for entertainment. But trust me, Chingle Hall was genuine. If any of the guys would have even dreamed of setting anything up, they would have been instantly sacked.
Yeah, of course, it has to be
absolutely,
real.
Because it had to remain real.
I like some of the TV series, like Ross Hemsworth does. They were always genuine. He insisted on everything had to be real, and sometimes nothing would happen. And that thing he did for BBC Two, the Halloween Live. Yeah. Nothing happened. They were the Tower of London, but he just said that's the way it's going to be.
Well, put it this way, like the old ghost hunting, such as Borley Rectory. Okay, well, what did they go in with? Notebooks, pens, ears, cameras. So that is my preferred style, without a shadow of a doubt.
It'd be fascinating because the history is amazing. Like St John Wall, the Catholic martyr, he was beheaded and his head was buried somewhere on the site.
Somewhere on the site.
Oh my God!
Somewhere on the site.
1648. He was
hung, drawn and quartered. But they say the nuns actually captured his head and brought it. And legend says that it is somewhere in the hall. One of the notable things is that we knew that there were cellars there. Yet nobody in my lifetime there could ever find the entrance to the cellars. So was his head in the cellars somewhere? Who knows?
Maybe it's lying. It may be obviously just a skull now, but if it's found, that might change things.
Well, they did say, I wonder if the head is reunited, like buried properly. We don't know.
Sometimes I can.
Absolutely don't know.
But thank you very much for your really interesting talk.
Thank you.
Now, unfortunately, here at this. The ex-servicemen's pavilion, they're still living in that way 22. Can't believe they haven't scraped these things off.
About human beliefs about sources and their purpose. The title of his talk would hardly seem to convey the full expression of all that is implied. The instance of the phenomenon known as flying saucers is not only an established fact, it wasn't, but he said it wasn't, but their incursions within reasonable distance.
Well, I just heard Andy Roberts do his talk. Wasn't what I expected. I'll say more later, but it was very, very different to how I expected it to be. Not so much in its content, but how it came across and how I feel about it. I'll just focus in on these things here. There we go, it's the army. This is the bar here at the ex-servicemen's club. They've got these big full-size snooker tables. How often do you see them? They've got like little pool tables I'm used to. They've got the full-size snooker tables as well. I'm here with Colin. Yeah. Alright, so I didn't get a shot of Ruth Morris, sorry about that. But she did talk about Bigfoot, which I'll talk about later. But Colin and I now, we've left this ex-servicemen's club. It is now like a door you can only get into if you've got a key. It's not locked for security reasons. And now we're heading back. I'll do a little review of the speakers in the hotel, and then best we're going to go out for dinner, I think. We're going out to have a meal, or maybe they want to go out and have a meal first. I don't know. Someone's just texted me. But it's been a good day, Colin. It's been a good day. We had fun.
Yeah.
Any favourites or moments?
I thought she did a good talk. The second lady.
Gail Fiddler.
I hadn't heard her before.
Interesting stuff.
She covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, the owls and things about owls. Yeah, I think they were all pretty good. Even Andy Roberts was kind of like. He seems to have mellowed a bit. He seems to really have mellowed.
Well, he had a stroke.
Yeah. So
everyone's getting.
And then there was
younger.
I guess so. Yeah. And but that was interesting stuff. So we're now not sure what I'm going to do this evening. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the hotel now, and we'll work it all out as we go. There's the old YMCA over there. YMCA. I think we've got to turn right at the end, and it's basically on the same road going back. As you can see, it's now raining really hard, so actually I prefer it cold to this. Anyway, I'm going up to the trawl boat now to meet with my friends. Hey guys, I'm back in the Wetherspoons, the trawl boat. There's this interesting image here, so I thought I'd just capture it. Let me know what you think of it. Well, this is a typical Wetherspoons table after we've had our feast, so yeah, it's been very, very nice. Hey everyone, welcome back to my hotel room. I think I might switch that light off behind me, it may make me look a bit better. It's kind of like glowing, I don't know what you reckon. That's probably an improvement. What do you think? Let me know in the live chat, will you? Oh, sorry, this is not a live stream, sorry. Anyway, yeah, I'm back in my hotel room here. And this is the first day of LAPIS 2025 is over, and the first speaker was Joanna Walpole, who you've already heard from. Because you already heard from her because I just done a little interview with her, didn't I? I just did a little interview, which is nice. I should add also, before we began the speakers, there was a little bit of a kind of RIP session, because since the last conference, 4 LAPIS members have died. And it's astonishing how quickly people are dying these days. Now, I'm not going to dwell on that because it just makes me depressed, but it just seems to be everyone's dying at the moment. It's really, really sad. But anyway, Joanna Walpole, as you just heard, she was a tour guide. She was a tour guide at Chingle Hall, a place I've never heard of before, but it's a very, very, and a really, really interesting old building. It's a very old stately home, set up, built in 1260, and it's a lot of history there to begin with. For example, St. John Wall, who I discussed with her, who was a Catholic martyr, he was executed in 1648, hung, drawn and quartered. So basically, he was cut into 4. It's a horrible thing they used to do. They used to cut you into 4 pieces alive, and take the 4 pieces to. I think one had to go to Wales, one to Scotland, one to Ireland, and things like that, one to England, something like that. His head, he was beheaded during this particular brutal execution, and the head was taken back to Chingle Hall, as we discussed. So it's maybe there now somewhere, just a skull, of course, buried in the grounds or in a cellar somewhere. You know, maybe that's why there's so much paranormal activity here. And St. John Wall was a Catholic martyr, like I said. He was an aristocrat. And during the Reformation, like all aristocrats, he was expected to convert to the Anglican Church, which announced that Henry VIII was now God's emissary on earth, and he refused to do it. He still worshipped the Pope in that position. As a result, he was killed. Now, it was a capital offence. And of course, it was illegal. I mean, they didn't come down so hard on the peasantry, but it was still illegal to practice Roman Catholicism, papism as they called it, in this country, which is something I used to do. So I'd have been a criminal in those days. And so during that particular period, the Catholics were kind of underground. They were an underground movement, a resistance, a kind of like Guy Fawkes was a part of this, and they used to hold their excuse me, they used to hold their masses secretly because they were relegated to the level of a dangerous cult, and so there was like, for example, they would put a candle in the window of Chingle Hall, which would announce it's a secret message to all the Catholics in the area that there was going to be a mass late at night in the cellar where no one could see them, and they had like a crucifix. They used to cover it with a picture during the day and things like that. So it was like that. Now Joanna's not a believer or a skeptic, but she's interested in experiences. But there's no doubt she's had experiences that have led her to see herself as an experiencer of paranormal phenomena. For example, the key went missing. This does happen in haunted houses. It's kind of poltergeist report type experiences, like a key went missing, and then she was walking down a stairway and this thing hit her shoulder, and she knew immediately that it was. She knew immediately. She sensed before it even happened. She says, "This is the key," and indeed it landed on the step in front of her, and she picked it up. I'm just trying to read my notes. There was a phantom cat in the bedroom. That's enough. And so this ghost is quite useful. I'd like to meet this ghost, I'll tell you, because she was waiting for a bus one day and she was £1 short of the fare. And she thought, I'm going to have to go all the way back and I'm going to ask someone to lend me a pound. But then there was this pop, and then a pound, a coin, just dropped out the air and landed on the floor beside, on the ground by the bus stop. And a port. A very useful ghost. Yeah, it's really amazing when that happens. And they've been seen by other people. So, for example, and by other people, and there's been instances where strange things have happened when she's been doing tarot cards, as if the ghosts are like they're very, very devout Catholics, and they don't believe in that kind of thing. They say it's wrong to do that. It's wrong. It's a wrong thing to do that. So they protest, that kind of thing. And there was this family from Liverpool who were there making home videos in the 80s, and they saw a shadow figure. They made a video, like a home video VHS. Anyone younger than me is saying, "What the hell's he talking about? What's a VHS?" Well, can you imagine Netflix in a black plastic brick? Got it, kids? That's a VHS. They were making this VHS tape, and when they got it home and looked at it, there was like a shadow figure. And which wasn't there at the time. They never saw anything at the time. And indeed, during the Q&A, I put my hand up and I said to Joanna, I says, "Does this tape still exist? Can we see it?" And she says, "I know it exists. It has been converted to an electronic file. I know the file exists. I can't tell you where it is. Hopefully we'll be able to see it soon." And I thought, wow, that'd be quite something, wouldn't it? Now, this is interesting. Les Dawson, the famous comedian, he got it's quite ironic considering his famous comedy routine, but he was very into the paranormal, and when he very much mourned the death of his mother-in-law, whom he was very fond of. He was a very different man in real life to when he was on stage, and he had an experience when he was in bed, and he woke up in the morning, reached over to kiss his wife good morning, and the ghost of his mother-in-law was there instead. I'm sure there's millions of jokes you could tell about this. Unfortunately, now Chingle Hall is shut to the public, which is a great shame. But there is some videos of it. There's like another video that was made in 1993 of some people who went there with the tour guide, where strange things happen. But also, there's a BBC radio show in which, again, weird things are happening. That was from 1980, so this goes back a long way. Very interesting speaker, Joanna, and I'm glad I got there. Thank you, Joanna, for that interview. Gail Fiddler. Now, I know Gail personally. She was one of the people who went to the Isle of Man. She's the wife of Ben Fiddler, the lard man, who I cannot defeat in the lard eating competition no matter what I do. He just keeps on getting more. He just keeps on getting better and better. But yeah, Gail was talking about owls, and owls are not what they seem. Owls are not what they seem. This is very, very similar to Matt Cleland, an American researcher who spoke at the Leeds Exopolitics Expo, and I remember this very well because I actually went to that. It was a very, very good event. I remember it very, very well. I think I did a video of it. I lose track. I've done so many. I think I did a video of this. I was saying, I'm going to add a little bit more sugar to my coffee. One moment, ladies and gents, but I'm just in the middle of doing this now. It's earlier in the evening. I didn't want to have to do this late at night, so I thought I left. We had a couple of pints in the ex-servicemen's club, Colin and a couple of other people. We had a really good talk, like you do, and then we left. I didn't film any of that, but we then left and came back, and I'm going to join my friends 7:30 at the Spoons. So I'm doing this beforehand, so I don't do it late at night when I'm tired and drunk. And she says she wants to sort of link different kinds of research together because she says that research is in what she calls silos. So you have like ghost hunting done separately from ufology, and ufology done separately from cryptozoology. And perhaps a lot of these researchers, a lot of their research complements each other, and they don't realise it. And I see what she means. In fact, I myself would try to take a more broad church view of the whole thing and just study all these things. And owls have always had a reputation for being otherworldly. It's their big, bright eyes and things like that. The fact that they're so mysterious. Indeed, this is why they're used as a symbol for the Illuminati by people like the Bohemian Grove. Because they can see at night. They're all seeing. They can see in the dark. They have 360-degree vision. They can turn their heads all the way around. They are a fly-by-night operator, literally, and they fly silently, stealthily. And they strike and they kill without warning, just like the Illuminati. Now, Gail grew up in a County Durham farmhouse. And when she was a child, she was very much into literature. She's like a middle-aged lady, so she didn't grow up with the internet. And so she found her entertainment through the great books like The Owl Service and Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and these other kinds of things. Indeed, I myself really enjoyed as well. I'm of a similar age. And I think maybe people younger than ourselves these days will they ever actually understand that pleasure? I hope they do. I hope they do, because it's something I'm very grateful for. She liked movies as well, like Ghostbusters was a movie, which of course now Ghostbusters is interesting because I never really took it seriously. Obviously, it's a comedy, and it's a very good comedy. It's very witty, but Dan Aykroyd actually is very open-minded. Now I know he's into UFOs because he made an entire documentary called Unplugged, all about UFOs. But he's very into ghosts as well. In fact, he grew up in a haunted house, and what's more, he now lives in a haunted house. I don't know if he selected the house that he lives in now deliberately because it was haunted, but Robbie Williams went and stayed with him and said weird things happened. And there's other... I can't read my own notes. Yeah, in the 1990s, in 1990 she was 12 years old, and she went camping in the woods, and she had this lady with her, this like scout leader or guide leader, wherever it was, and she went missing and vanished. And she thinks she may have gone off and just got drunk, but it's interesting when that sort of thing happens. She was very influenced by Twin Peaks, which of course is very occult, and David Lynch, the writer, used to practice transcendental meditation, and the director, whose name she mentioned, I can't remember. It's full of all kinds of messages. I mean, Twin Peaks is a hodgepodge of different things. If you've ever seen it, please do watch it. It's an artistically indulgent series. In other words, they're not scared just to take their time with things. I mean, the first 40 minutes of the pilot movie is simply the characters reacting to this murder that happens, which is the story arc of the entire film. But it's got a homage to like classic American soap operas. It's got a bit of slapstick comedy in, and of course it has this profound supernatural element, which is very, very interesting indeed. And she mentioned several other people. There's Rose Edith Kelly. She was a great occultist who had
experience when she went on a trip to Egypt. She was in 1894. She went on holiday with her husband to Egypt and had this amazing experience. And the X-Files. And of course, Gail has watched the X-Files as well. And she had this vision of Horus. Now, Aleister Crowley was always talking about Horus and channeled this being he called Iwas. And Crowley used to talk about the age of Horus, which I think he said would start in like 1990 or something. And he wrote the Book of the Law. There was these two people called Kenneth and Steffi Grant, a British and a German couple, and they were the first to bring the UFO connection into their occult life. There's Austin Osman Spare, an artist who has a whole amount of like really spooky artwork that he has as well. This is really interesting. And he said something interesting. Art is like creating artwork is a form of occult contact. And he painted several pictures based on H.P. Lovecraft, who's very famous, of course, for all kinds of like mystery horror, cosmic horror, stories like that. There was the Dunwich Horror and things like that, and all kinds of really amazing stories. Now, Lam is a being. Crowley very famously channeled a being called Lam, L-A-M. If you go, I do recommend you watch my video called Birthplace of the Beast, where I talk about Aleister Crowley in more detail. I really, really do. But this Lam looks very like an alien, a grey alien, but some people describe him as looking like an owl. And I suppose it does in a way, definitely. Now, and there was this owl symbolism comes up again and again. Like there's this cafe in New Mexico, USA, that has an owl as its symbol, and people think it's to do with the desert owls and things like that. But Robert Oppenheimer, the atomic physicist, used to go there with his fellow scientists who were working on the Manhattan Project. And very famously, when the Trinity bomb was detonated in 1945, Oppenheimer, a line from the Bhagavad Gita went through his head, this ancient Hindu text, I become death, the destroyer of worlds. It's recited at that was every single one of Ashton Forbes's videos begins with that recording of Oppenheimer, with the sight of the aircraft disappearing after the orbs circle it. Jack Parsons is another figure. Now, the JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, is very interesting because I learned this from Thomas Sheridan. It's not really called that. They just added jet propulsion later. It's the Jack Parsons Laboratory. And he was one of the founding figures of the US rocket program. And if it hadn't been for him, probably the Americans would have been trading a decade behind the Russians if they hadn't had Parsons on the team. And they were only maybe a year behind them. Jack Parsons was an occultist, and he actually, whenever he wrote to Crowley, he was a thelemist, and whenever he wrote, he exchanged a lot of correspondence with Crowley. And when he wrote to Crowley, he called him my father. He kind of believed he wanted Crowley to adopt him, I think. And there's another incident. Chris Everard talks about this in his one of his documentaries, where he performed a ritual called the Babylon Working, a very powerful ritual in the desert near Las Vegas, USA, with Marjorie Cameron, his partner, the actress, who's a famous actress at the time. This was in, I think, in the 1946. This was done, and someone called Frater H was part of his Thelemus group, whose real name was L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, and he created this connection to the other worlds. And it's a long story, but basically this was done at Groom Lake in the desert, which of course now is the site of Area 51. And what's interesting is there's all this kind of synchronicity that Gail has discovered. For example, Jeff disappeared from the Isle of Man on the 22nd of November. JFK shot on the 26th of November, and 22nd of November. Jeff disappeared from the Isle of Man on the 20th, departed the Irving's house. As I said, I went with Gail and the rest of the team to the Isle of Man, to their little trip there. And
she's performed this talk. What's the date today? It's the 22nd of November. There's all this synchronicity that keeps coming around. Steve Jones, as always, gave a detailed comment in the Q&A, and he mentioned that the AI is what he calls an egregore, which is like some kind of golem, a manifestation. Funnily enough, Anthony Peake uses that word as well, egregore. The next speaker was Andy Roberts. Now, he talked about the 60s flying saucer cults, and he says that people who believe in UFOs are in a labyrinth. And he says we can become, and very few of us emerge from it psychologically unscathed. I don't know who he's talking to here. He mentions Keel and John Keel and the cosmic question, and that belief is the enemy, because this is what Keel said: belief is the enemy. And so in other words, a lot of these people are speaking out against like believing too much in a certain hypothesis to explain UFOs. And of course, I mean, I'm aware of this, but a lot of ufology has been based on lots of falsehoods. For example, Kenneth Arnold reported his sighting. He described crescent-shaped objects, but he said they were like saucers skipping on a pond. The newspapers got hold of this, and the term flying saucers came from that. So the term flying saucer comes from a misquote. And he mentions contactees. Now, funny enough, he plays the song The Buchanan Brothers. I was kind of singing along to it, where you gotta pray to the Lord when you see those flying saucers. It was the first ever UFO themed song. Funnily enough, it was released on the 16th of July, literally just about 3 weeks after Arnold's sighting. Now, how did they get that? How did they get that record produced so quickly? They must have pressed it themselves and just rushed it into publication and production. And now, some people who read Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, my book, will know that this song actually appears in the opening segment of the book, which of course is set on the 2nd of July. So I play with history a little bit there. And he mentions 47. Now, interesting, going back to Gail Fiddler. Aleister Crowley died that year as well, 1947. I don't know if there's a connection there. But there's all kinds of other contactees. There's Gerald Hurd, who wrote a book called The Riddle of the Flying Saucers. George Adamski, of course, is the most famous. Desmond Leslie, who wrote a book with Adamski called The Flying Saucers Have Landed. Desmond Leslie, Anglo-Irish. A lot of these people were like Anglo-Irish, half English, half Irish. And George King of the Aetherius Society. Now, I'm familiar with the Aetherius Society because they always used to speak at Probe. And despite the fact I don't share their beliefs, they're pretty harmless as cultists, as UFO cultists do. They're very different as, for example, Heaven's Gate or the Raelians. The Aetherius Society, they just stand on hilltops chanting. They don't ask for money, so I think they're pretty harmless, sincere people. But funny enough, he mentions the Findhorn community. Now, I could talk a lot about the Findhorn community because I did the Experience Week in 2005. I can't go into details there, but I spent a week at the Findhorn community. So, there's stuff I could talk a lot about that, but there's something I didn't know about the Findhorn community, is its connection to these flying saucer cults, because Peter Caddy, one of the founders, who ran the Cluny Hotel, which they had to give up apparently, although today the Findhorn community owns the Cluny Hotel in Forest, Scotland. He was into flying saucers and things like that. This was long before there was real ufology. And he said he created a flying saucer landing site, a bit like George Adamski or George Van Tassel did at the Giant Rock, if you remember Contact in the Desert. He created this landing site by the Cluny Hotel. I didn't know that. It certainly wasn't there when I visited. And there's more contactees, people I haven't heard of, called Cynthia Appleton, who comes from Birmingham. She said she had an alien encounter which led to her becoming pregnant by an alien. And the baby was born April 1959 and called Matthew. And no one knows what happened to that kid. He'd be quite old now, but This has happened several times, and there's Molly Thompson who wrote a song about aliens, and there's a video of her singing it. There's a guy called Tony Wedd who connected aliens to ley lines, and John Michel, who was into psychedelics and things like that, and he went onto this. He was also into UFOs. Now, where are we now? This was not what I expected. I've got to get a bit personal and say this now. Listening to Andy Roberts was not what I expected, because Andy's changed since I last saw him. He doesn't seem. I didn't sense any hostility from him. Even when I spoke to him, he recognised me, but he didn't. He didn't seem. I get the feeling he was kind of more embarrassed or nervous than angry with me. I know he's had a tragedy. His son died at the age of, I think he was about in his late 20s, I think, and his son died, which is horrible. He has my deepest condolences. But he announced on stage, there's no secret saying this because he just told everyone, that he'd had a stroke. And he behaved very differently on stage to when I last saw him in 2010, and indeed the various other lectures and videos I've seen of Andy. He was like looking down at his screen, just reading a script, and his voice he was speaking very quickly. He says, "I can't help it because I've had a stroke." And indeed, he's looking like he's aged quite considerably. He's sort of hunched over, and he looks like he doesn't have the energy that I saw him before. I suppose he is quite old now, but he had this stroke and stuff like this. And I already said I'm not going to have a go at him. I'm not going to make a scene at this conference. I'm going to behave myself. I'm not going to let personal issues interfere with the running of this conference. I don't know if I'll speak to him again, but I mean, I felt quite sorry for him, I suppose. I really did. Yeah, so I wish him all the best. I do. I wish him all the best. The next speaker was Ruth Morris, the final speaker of the day, who talked about folklore, footprints, and a whole lot of orbs. Now, this is interesting because this connects Bigfoot to other paranormal phenomena in the same way that Gail was connecting owls and maybe things like ufology and screen memories to other paranormal phenomena. And indeed, there are Bigfoot appears everywhere. It's called the Nantinak in Alaska, Yeti. There's the Almasty. There's the Yowie in Australia. There's something called a Woodwose in Britain. So Deborah Hatswell would like this because it's been seen in Britain, as I've explained. Nick Hayes talks about this. But Bigfoot, of course, is a cryptid on one level, and it behaves like a cryptid, and indeed there's evidence that it's some kind of hominid. But there are other phenomena that resemble Bigfoot, which are different. For example, they step out of orbs and they throw orbs and things like that. And they make weird noises, you know about that. Well, I'm going to do the read party for the Voices in the Wilderness book by Ron Moorhead. Sometimes they turn into orbs and things like that. And they've even been seen being able to cloak themselves, like cover themselves in, like disappear and appear. And there's even suggestions that their fur is kind of like designed to do that. Now it's interesting, because what's this? There's various photos of Bigfoot. Like there's the earliest Bigfoot photos from 1894, where some prospectors in British Columbia, Canada, shot one, and it looks like you can see it lying dead in the ground, and it's a horrible thing to do, but they did that. And of course, there's photos of them. There's videos of photos. There's things like that, and then there's also it's quite amusing actually, but there's she made the point about like the ghillie suits that soldiers wear them and hunters wear them to blend into the wilderness, and they make you almost invisible. In fact, she showed a photo, and the only reason you realised it was a man was because he was holding a gun. You can just see the gun. But you've got to be careful because hunters some hunters are out to get Bigfoot. I've made this point before. Don't go dressing up as a Bigfoot. Now, I didn't know this. When Peter Mayhew, the actor who played Chewbacca, was on set when they were filming in North America during various parts of the Star Wars franchise, various episodes, he when he was in his costume, he had to wear like a gilet jaune, a yellow luminous vest, so that he wouldn't be mistaken for a Bigfoot. He's a big, tall guy, 6'8", and amazingly, you know, he had to wear this vest in case hunters spotted him while he was on set and tried to kill him. It was all part of the health and safety thing. But Peter Mayhew, incidentally, when because as you know, as I've said many times, he was a hospital porter, and I always make a note of things like this. They couldn't get a uniform big enough for him; they had to have one specially made, and he wore 3 extra large theatre scrubs until then. And Patty, of course, the famous Patterson Gimlin film is of a Bigfoot. The reason is, I mean, it's probably like, it's likely it's kind of like it's real. It's because of its external mammary glands. Many other words you can use for those. Rick Mayall used to call them a wazzle pair of jugs. But of course, this is it's unlikely that if they were hoaxing it, they'd have thought of that. This is why I think the Patty is a real Bigfoot and the Patterson Gimlin film is real. Interestingly, also, Paul Vella discovered that he went there and did some LiDAR research and analysed it with the video. So, and he worked out, but he knows exactly where the Bigfoot was. He knows where the camera was, and he measured the height of the Bigfoot by triangulation. It's about 6'7" tall. Now, the skeptics claim that's Bob Gimlin's wife. It's one of these conveniently told confession stories that I'm always writing against. Is Bob Gimlin's wife really 6'7" in height? Because if she is, you better not whinge at her if she burns the toast, I'll tell you. Yeah, it's a load of crap. It's a load of crap. Anyway, a really interesting set of speakers for the first day. Very interesting set indeed. Okay, so that's day one out the way. Ah, here we go. It's a bit windy this morning. That's why I'm easy like Sunday morning. Yeah, it's actually pretty windy. It's not a gale going as exactly, but it's very. It's actually, well, there's nothing coming, so we'll cross over now. It's a bit breezy. I'm just heading, as always, I'm heading down to the seafront for my walk towards the Carvery, where I'm going to get breakfast there again because it's the best value, nicest breakfast in St Anne's. Yeah, I slept. Didn't sleep so well last night. Woke up about 3, but you know, I can't complain. I sort of lay there and dozed a little bit, so I should be okay for today. I just don't want to get in this thing where I'm dropping off in the bloody auditorium. It's raining slightly this morning. Now I don't know how much you can hear me actually because of the wind. Hopefully you can hear me all right. But I've got a bit of commentary to do, which maybe I'll leave for now until I'm somewhere out in the wind, because a lot's been going on. I mean, I've had to go away during a very turbulent period in the truth movement. So yeah. Anyway, there's the pier, and I'm heading now for a little leisurely walk along the prom to the Salters Wharf. Actually, it's actually quite nice despite the rain and the little breeze. It's quite nice. The sky looks nice. I like it when the sky sort of like breaking up like this, a broken cloud. I'm going to give it a go. Yeah, well, I've been catching up. I get half an hour free Wi-Fi from the Travelodge, so I decided to catch up on James's channel, his so-called confession, and he's kind of like adapted it a little bit to people's requests. Like when he first confessed. If you don't know who I mean by James, please watch the last videos I made about James's pipe. 2 videos I made about that. He's adapted it slightly because people were saying, well, where's the pipe then? Because he wouldn't show the pipe originally. Now, yesterday he did a live stream where he did show the pipe, or a pipe, one that's it has a almost identical design. Not quite. I've noticed some slight differences. Firstly, the metal of the barrel that is made out of a different kind of metal, one that's not so shiny. It's more kind of diffuse, what's the word, burnished silvery metal, steel, aluminium, tin, something like that. It's not quite the same, so it looks to me like a new one. Someone's made a new one, in other words. And so I'm not quite. Still, again, I think we should be doubtful of this confession. Now, what's happening here is the big problem is the backslapper mentality. Because a lot of people will be saying, well, James committed this hoax, and therefore that's the problem, that people make a hoax. He did it to see how gullible people were. It was a social experiment, etc. Now, problem with that is that this wouldn't work if it wasn't for the backslapper mentality. If it is a hoax, it wouldn't work if it wasn't for the backslapper mentality. Because the problem seems to be, you see, what happens with the backslappers is they'll say things like, their response to this is very predictable. People like Patrick from Vetted, who I like, I'm very fond of him, but he played the backslapper role in this particular instance. And they'll say things like, I called it from the start, man. I called it, man. I called it from the start. I knew it was a hoax and everyone else was fooled, man. But I knew it was a hoax from the start, man. And that makes me so superior. Right? That's the backslapper line. It's getting very windy along here. I'll keep talking. And the problem there, I'll say more about that when I cover this in a specific video, is that they didn't, you see. They didn't know it was a hoax from the start. They guessed it was a hoax from the start. And those are two very different things. And because backslappers always, they cover all bases by saying that everything's a hoax to begin with. So if it does turn out to be a hoax, they can say, I knew it from the start, man, I worked it out. Well, they didn't work it out, they guessed. What they did was, somebody decided that backslappers will always hedge towards it being a hoax. So if it does, they can then turn out to be worldly wise and do their usual backslapper pose. That's the problem. But by this means that this discourages proper investigation. This discourages doubt, because everything's polarised in this issue. Everything's polarised. So the people who didn't say from the very start it was a hoax and said, well, didn't say it's definitely real, but maybe it's not, people like me, who said, well, maybe this is real. Right now, there's no specific reason to say positively this is a hoax. Those people would be polarised into true believers who said it was real and they believed every word James said, and they said it was Andromedan, it was an Andromedan embassy and things like this, all right? That's how I'm going to be portrayed, even though that's not what I said. So if whatever James has done here, whether it's a hoax on his part, whether the CIA have come along and forced him to make this fake confession, it wouldn't work if it wasn't for the backslapper mentality. It's all right, you backslappers are you're a real drag on this entire movement. And you consider yourself to be the only real truthers. You look down your nose at everyone else, and you act like you are the pinnacle of anti-establishment research and dedication and activism. When you're what's holding back, because you're just serving your own egos. It's all about you and your egos, and your collective superiority. That's what it's all about. That's why you do it. Anyway, I'm there now. Here we go once again, ladies and gentlemen. It's Sunday morning. I've had breakfast. Had a bloody big one too. Piled it on. I feel a bit bloated now, but you'll be glad of that later on, I'll tell you. I'm here with Dr. Cool on Woollyford, and we're heading for the venue once more. You had a good evening last night, Cole?
Yeah, just had a few drinks.
Yeah.
Spoons.
Where's the spoons, as always?
Interesting woman.
Yeah, we met a couple. One of the lady was a medium, and we had a nice conversation. Very alcohol fueled, but it was quite good fun. Everyone was good, in a good mood, you know. There was no aggro. It's just like happiness. They were happy drunks, you know, and So that was quite good fun. And Colin didn't join me for breakfast, but he went back to the Spoons and said because David's going. David Monco has to go back to his home in Edinburgh, and so he had to leave. So I'm going to miss saying goodbye. Colin himself has to leave straight after the conference. So it's that sad time when you got to say goodbye to people, go back to the so-called real world, which is actually anything but the fake world. And but hopefully it won't be for long, because I've got another conference coming up again in just 3 weeks. So that's the good news. Obviously there'll be a reportage of that too. So here we're going, heading up St Albans Road again. Alright guys, there's me in the mirror. You can see I'm back in the venue, and I've got like this. Someone gave me that. I've got myself an official badge. They had a spare one, so they gave it to me. Yeah, that's nice. I'm looking forward to today. Stu Neville is up first, so we'll see. He's I don't know if he's married to Beth, who was here last night, Beth Morris. So there's Sir Matthew Williamshire. There he is, doing his thing, scowling and making faces. There's Colin. I'm looking for this Colin now. Again, looking very thoughtful. Who else is there? Innocent people I can like spy on, and there's Andy. Good old Andy. Andy did his show. Paul and Carol over there. Janet and Dan. So yeah, it's fun to be had today, I hope.
D-Day and so forth. And in keeping with the series' usual format, it was pretty unsensational, reported the arguments as they were reported, as it were, and just related stories surrounding arguments pro and con, with comments from pathologists and
I just heard the first speaker. It's Matthew Williams up next. He's always entertaining, even though I disagree with him a lot. He's quite an entertaining speaker. Let's have a look at these. UFOs never were. I've told you about that book. Jenny Randall, Andy Roberts, David Collins. Jenny's gone. Skepper. UFO religions. Alien contact. UFO files. What's these?
You ever read them?
Yeah. When I was a kid.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
I picked them up, a whole set for 50 quid. Not so long ago.
That is amazing, yeah. I've got like the anthology book, but I know it's not all stuff's in there. I know because there's stuff I remember from the magazine series that's not in the anthology. But The Unexplained is like a really, really good series. I must have, I've got broken memories of my childhood, but I must have like had a really strong interest when I was quite young, because I used to read that religiously. I still love it.
That's a great book as well. I picked that up last year for a song in a second-hand shop.
Folklore, Myths and Legends of Britain, right? Yeah, Albion Dreaming is...
goes for silly prices on.
How much is Andy charging for it? It's 40. That's probably cheaper than you get it anywhere else. This is Andy's book about LSD, which I told you about, the one which he did where Niall Murphy recorded his talk at the October Gallery. So that's quite interesting. That is. I don't know if I'll buy that, but in search of smiles. Aliens, ghosts, and cults. Abductions. He wrote about. He did a book with another guy about phone calls from the dead. Oh, Philip Glass, Skeptic. That's going to be a skeptic book. These books are amazing. They're on PDFs in various places. It was a great magazine series. It really opened my eyes. You've got your new book coming out soon, Richard.
Yeah, my book, Beasts That Prey on Man, that's going to be out sometime next year, and I'm working on the sequel to The High Strangeness.
Can I show you to my viewers?
Yeah.
You remember Richard? Yeah. Richard Freeman, you know him well. So you got your new book soon, have you?
Yeah, I've got a very big, thick book on man-eating animals coming out called Beasts That Prey on Man, which includes crocodiles, sharks, pythons, Komodo dragons, bears, big cats, hyenas, wolves and other wild dogs, and weird things like elephants, even though they're herbivorous, have been known to kill and eat people sometimes, and chimpanzees and baboons, and a big chapter on human cannibals, like ritualistic cannibalism that you get in tribal societies, cultural cannibalism, and then criminal cannibalism, not cases that...
Like the serial killers, mate. Yeah, I've heard of them, yeah.
And then I just started work on the sequel to The Highest Strangeness, my book, The Highest Strangeness, on High Strangeness, Fortean cases. There's enough for a second volume, which is probably going to be called More of the Highest Strangeness.
Well, he was a pretty prolific writer. I'm still reading a Monster Hunter book, which is really quite something.
And then I'm off to India soon to look for giant crocodiles.
Oh, well, I hope you come back from that one.
Yeah, and fingers crossed if we can get the funds together. We're hoping to go to Flores next year to look for surviving Homo floresiensis.
It'll be slightly safer than the crocodile.
The little hobbit thing.
Well, that'd be quite, if they're still alive, that'd be quite something, wouldn't it?
Fantastic, yeah.
I read a book about giants in the Solomon Islands as well.
Yes, I've read that.
12-foot tall Morris Boyajian or something.
Yeah, I have serious doubts about the veracity of that book.
Oh, right, yeah. The Nexus community were all over it, but I mean, it was an interesting book, but again, I'm not convinced by it. But it's interesting stuff. I mean, it's interesting, really, really cool. So you're going back to the Isle of Man anytime soon?
Yes, we're back to the Isle of Man next year.
Oh, great!
Back on the track of dear old Jeff the Talking Mongoose.
Well, we had a go, didn't we, when I was there?
Yeah.
We had a go.
Did I ever tell you about what happens in Wales with Jeff?
No, I know there's one in Scotland. There's another Jeff. There's another Jeff in Scotland.
With me, I got involved with a museum called Roughton's Museum of the Paranormal, and I donated a bunch of occult antiques to it. And Laura and Eric Roughton took myself and my friend Richard Farron on a tour of the museum, and they said, let's have a séance in our séance parlour, because I've got like a Victorian séance parlour, and they had one of these planchettes with the pen in it rather than a Ouija board. You put it on a big piece of paper, and it kept pointing to me, and they had an electronic device that kept going off, supposedly showing when a spirit was there, and it had like a little weight thing on it, and if a spirit's there it presses the weight down, and it kept pointing to me. Then it spelt out the words GEF.
Oh my god.
And then Laura said, how many legs do you have? And it said 4. Do you know where you are? Wales. And then it drew a little picture of a mongoose.
That's amazing. I mean, considering that time when we were trying to contact Jeff at the Era Cushlin house, and maybe that's kind of like a follow-up. Maybe that's Jeff saying, I'm finally getting back to you.
Yeah, but the first time we tried to contact Jeff at Era Cushlin, afterwards I was asleep in bed, and Jackie was sharing a room with me, and she said she woke up in the middle of the night and looking over at my bed, she could hear something jumping around on it like a small animal. And she said, I was asleep, but I was moving my legs and arms out of the way as it seemed to jump around me. That's nice,
It's one minute. Sometimes these things take a while, but they eventually come back, and they come back to you. Oh, that's really interesting, Richard. Yeah, I'd love to interview you again when we. I'd love to do that.
What, on your show?
Yeah, I'd love to get you back on the show. Yeah, definitely. Cool, mate. Well, good luck with your next adventures, and if you do find one of these crocodiles, don't get too close.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Because you may become the subject matter of your own book.
Yeah, cheers.
I ended up spending 9 months living in my car on a hill, looking for UFOs and various things like that. Saw some strange stuff, but yes, I really immersed myself quite heavily in this. I heard about a place called RAF Road.
Watching a bit of football with Colbahar. It's lunchtime, so we're just relaxing. Yeah, that's a couple of interesting speaker. Matthew Williams, very interesting. Say more about him shortly. Later on, he's quite. That guy surprises me. He really does. Follow the New World Order path. Oh, that was interesting. Talking about talking heads. We're on the road to nowhere. No, not those talking heads. The real heads that talk, or the ritual aspect of heads and severed heads. Sounds a bit gruesome, but it's like many gruesome things. It's quite interesting. John Billingsley, interesting chap. Yeah, just one more session now before the end. It doesn't half go quickly.
And that is something that natural selection can act on because it can tweak each part separately. It makes the search space much more tractable. So Wolfram says this is the hand of natural selection that you see around you. Anything where you see sort of more like machines with parts emerging.
Well, guys, I look a bit like Strider, don't I, when I'm like this? Yes, I need a pipe. Yeah, the conference is over. I'm now heading back to the hotel. Can do a bit of recording and stuff like that. It's raining. There's a depression settling in. In fact, as Lenny Henry said, the only silver lining is in my suit. Yeah, I'm getting do a bit of the recording. The conference is over. It's always a bit of a, as you know, I get the post-conference blues. But it's not, I'm staying overnight, which is nice, and I will be going to go and see the guys at the hotel after I've done a bit of recording. I might even have dinner there. I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly what I'm eating tonight, but I will. It could be just another burger at the Spoons, which will be all right. I don't mind that one bit. So anyway, don't want the camera to get too wet, so I'll carry on when I get back in the Travelodge. All right, yes. So right, let's go through Sunday speakers. The second and final day of the conference. Stu Neville. Now he's married to, well, he's a partner of Ruth Morris. I called her Beth. Ruth Morris, who also, and this guy's also interested in Bigfoot, and he talks about 40 and TV. Now this doesn't just mean the series with Lionel Fanthorpe, of which I'm a big fan. It was a 90s series which Lionel did, which went on for a number of seasons. It was very, very good indeed. But there was many others. So, for example, The World About Us with Magnus Magnusson. I didn't know that. I've not seen that one. Magnus Magnusson, of course, most famous for presenting Mastermind. Apparently, he did this series called Around the World, The World About Us. There was also another one called In Search Of. Now, there's several iterations of that. And funnily enough, both of them had actors who played Mr. Spock from Star Trek. The first one being Leonard Nimoy, and the second one being some guy I've never heard of, and probably you haven't either, from the shitty remake. But they both had actors playing Mr. Spock from Star Trek, and I remember that. So I remember the Simpsons parody. They did a parody. They got Leonard Nimoy to do it. You know? I'll never forget. It's one of the spooky ones. It's the one where Homer sees an alien. That's right. It turns out to be Mr. Burns. Yeah. The spoilers are redundant. You've seen it probably. You know. The following story is true, and by true I mean false. That's right. It's all lies, but they're entertaining lies. And in the end, isn't that the real truth? The answer is no. Our story begins. Oh, it's so funny. Unsolved Mysteries. Again, that was a. There was also Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World, which hardly needs any introduction for anyone more than 10 years younger than me. It was seminal in my life. I mean, it proves, along with reading The Unexplained, as I said earlier, I think I might mention that earlier. It proves, even though I have limited memory of my childhood, I have lots of lacunae, things I can't remember. It's just quite sinister, I think. But it does show that I was, even at a very young age, pre-teen, I had a woo-woo element to myself. So I was a little bit Hapanwo many years before Hapanwo when I was a small child. So I used to love Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. There's Unsolved Mysteries. Now, I didn't realise this was a big series in the 70s. Again, with the same kind of, with the style where you get somebody to introduce it in like a studio setting, then they narrate it there's clips and they narrate it, and then they top and tail it. So at the end, there's another kind of narration. Now, Unsolved Mysteries is still, I didn't realise it's the same series which is rebooted. And of course, it's a very good series on Netflix that covers a wide variety of things. Unsolved Mysteries actually began as a true crime series and eventually got onto the paranormal. The new one on Netflix combines the two. There's a lot of unsolved crimes and things like that, and a lot of unsolved mysteries. I mean, there's some and there's a lot of paranormal stuff. For example, UFOs and things that were seen, ghosts that were seen after the Fukushima disaster in Japan. And there's some true crime. For example, there's a young woman who was found dead in a hotel room, apparently by suicide, although there's so many facts that doesn't fit that makes it look like it was like some kind of hit, it was a murder. And the fact that there's so little investigation indicates it's something connected to espionage. She was some kind of secret agent. Very, very interesting. Sad, of course, but interesting. Strange but true with Michael Aspel. Yeah, Michael Aspel, best known for his chat shows, actually did a similar thing to In Search Of in the UK. That's quite good if I remember. And then there was, of course, the alien autopsy. And of course, Colin had to say something about that. Again, Star Trek connection, because Jonathan Frakes, who presented that, who plays Riker in TNG. And that was actually, you can get that on YouTube. Of course, it's with hindsight, it's kind of, it takes a lot out of it, actually. Because, of course, I've not come full circle, but when I studied Philip Mantle's work on this, I dismissed it as fake. Since then, I've been reassessing that situation because Colin is very persuasive, and it's not just him. There are others as well who have brought this up, and I think the Kit Green evidence is very, very interesting indeed. But the original alien autopsy with Ray Santilli produced, and of course it became very successful. They actually had it wasn't quite like it was in the film. These figures are wrong. These figures are wrong. We're going again. We're running it again tonight. No, it wasn't quite that much, but they did arrange a replay on TV. Then there was 40 TV, of course. Then something called X Creatures, which was who was it? Who did X Creatures? Oh, David Attenborough did that, I think. No, Chris Packham, who's best known for his Normal Nature program, but he did this cryptid one called X Creatures. Chris Packham's a bit of a global alarmist, but he's still a good presenter. Most Haunted, of course. Most Haunted actually, it's a franchise that spawned 1,000 spin-offs, and it inspired so many other programs all over the world. The supposed real life ghost hunting series. And as you know, if you remember Rawcon, which was quite significant actually, because I said to Alan Raw, you got this in just before the lockdown. It was literally a month before the lockdown. This was in Hull, and I went to it. It was very good. I was a speaker. That's why it was so good, of course. But I met Yvette Fielding, and she swore to me that everything in Most Haunted is true. It was all real. Nothing is fake. And I don't believe her. And of course, Ross Hemsworth. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's a good friend of mine, likable, very nice chap. He did that Ghost Detectives on Channel 5, and everything in that was real. They had Chris French, the skeptic, and he also did that Halloween Live at the Tower of London on BBC Two. Again, nothing spooky happened, but it was 4 hours, and he had a program plan and a script for 4 hours of non-stop television. If there was no ghosts, and there was no ghosts, and everything went fine. Ross was he's been offered deals, with a prime time slot, big budget, full crew, and everything. And the studio has said, yes, but Ross, we have to deliver. Meaning, if you can't find any real ghosts, we're going to have to put some fake ones in. And Ross said no way. He got up and walked out. Even if somebody when it comes to this kind of television, I'm having a bit of a rant here. I know that, but if you can say, well, some of this is real, but we are going to have to put some fake stuff in. That is the kiss of death, because you're the little boy who cried wolf. Even if you are telling the truth, no one will believe you. So Ross did the right thing there, definitely. There was where were we now? There's cryptozoology replaced ghosts in the 2000s with Finding Bigfoot. This is a pretty cool series. It's on a similar format. It has skeptics and believers together, And then there was Mountain Monsters, which is actually obviously not real. It's kind of like wrestling. It's a kind of the equivalent of wrestling, but it's really funny. You get these kind of like deep South hillbillies, and they go out looking Bigfoot hunting in the Appalachian Mountains and things like that, and they have the accents. They're going yeehaw, they're whooping all the time and going God damn Harry and stuff like that, and they're sort of like they have big beards and like dungarees. They're kind of a stereotype in the United States of the sort of redneck.
hick farmer type person. But it is not, none of it's real, but it's incredibly funny. They're always inventing new kinds of traps to trap the Bigfoot. It's extremely funny. Oak Island, I didn't like. It's just they go to this island and they try to dig up this lost buried treasure, and they have to get rid of there's a swamp there, and they have to pump it out, and they say drain the swamp. But of course, there's the Curse of Skinwalker Ranch, which is absolutely brilliant. All Skinwalker Ranch documentaries have been good, actually. Something called Blind Frog Ranch, which is something similar to Skinwalker, that's probably not real. And then, funny enough, there was a whole series of series made by William Shatner. That's another Star Trek connection. And there was The Unexplained and things like that. And funny enough, Shatner, even in the 70s, he was making UFO documentaries. There's a very good one called Chariot of the Gods, which it covers the Eric von Daniken stuff, but also it delves into UFOs as well. And he made another one which was just about UFOs. This was in the late 70s. Very good documentaries. I can't remember what the other one was called. And of course, Ancient Aliens. Yes, and there was Uncanny. Now, Uncanny's all right. It's a kind of ghost story, but the guy who does it, what's he called? Danny Robbins. Not Danny Robbins. What's his name? I can't remember his bloody name. He's right. I find him rather irritating. He's a bit. He reminds me a bit of the. I mean, this is not his fault, but he reminds me of the man who used to abuse me when I was a child, and it's not his fault. But he looks like the kind of really weed, because this guy who abused me when I was a child was a physically unimpressive man, small, weedy, slightly hunched, smiles like that, and could never fight an adult, but he used to be violent towards me. And this kind of reminds me of that. So the sort of the passive aggressive soy boy who can be really aggressive when he's got a child or helpless. He's the sort of guy he'd cower and sort of rub his hands when some other blokes having a go at him, and he'd go home and he'd kick the shit out of the dog. That kind of bloke, And that's just my impression of him. That's not what he's like. I'm sure he's not really like that, but that's just how I feel. Ghostwatch. I've done an entire review of Ghostwatch. I did it for the anniversary on Halloween 2020, which was the 30th anniversary. So do check that out on my channel. But it's like it's not reality TV. It's a very vivid and believable docudrama, which I thought was real when I saw it. Mermaids again. Now Mermaids are similar. It's not like a live. It's not live. Ghostwatch was like live TV. It was a facsimile of live TV, which was made all the more vivid because the presenters were real life TV presenters. So you had Sarah Green, Mike Smith, Michael Parkinson, and Craig Charles, who are real life, who do real television, documentary television, which made Ghostwatch all the more believable. And I did believe it for about half an hour, and then the news came on and said, "Oh, it's okay. It's nothing happened here." And then my first thought was, and I wasn't fully conspiratorially aware in those days. But my first thought was they covered it up. It's a cover-up. Mermaids. Now, Mermaids is a documentary. Actually, this was another docudrama, but everyone believed it, and the reason I believed it is because it's on Animal Planet. It wasn't like on Sci-Fi or something like that, where with lots of other dramas. It was on Animal Planet, where you have like nature documentaries. It specialises in nature documentaries, and oh god, it's about these people who find real life mermaids, and it's in the form of a proper study. They have people like who are biologists and things like that. And Jackie put her hand up in the Q&A and said, I saw that, and I saw a bloke, one of these Japanese fishermen who supposedly caught a mermaid in the net. One of them looked a bit like the cameraman looked a bit like some bloke I know, and I called him up and says, "Is that you?" And he says, "Yeah," because I knew this guy was an actor. And all the Japanese fishermen, they were guys from the local. It was filmed in Plymouth Sound, and those were guys from the local Chinese takeaway. The guys from the local Chinese takeaway. Yeah, when I found out that wasn't real, I was actually relieved, because it's actually a pretty harrowing story. It's about mermaids at the sea and how they're in danger. They're an endangered species because basically humans are killing them off. Oh, it's with fishing nets and hunting and like bycatch and stuff like that, and naval exercises and stuff. Glad that wasn't real. Here we are, mermaids, and I can't read my handwriting. What's that say? Something from the future. I don't know what that means. Okay, anyway, that was about... He gave a good overview of supernatural stuff on TV. It was really, really good. Right. Now, Matthew Williams was the next speaker up, and he talked about how lots of things... for example, his first UFO sighting when he was driving as a young man, then how he got into crop circles and started writing for UFO magazine. And it was also on a TV show called The Y-Files. Now, this is not to be confused with AJ and Hecklefish, the YouTube channel. This is a much older series from the 90s in the UK. He was in that. And then he mentions UFO disclosure, and he's quite positive about it, actually. He mentions David Grush and things like that. And he says, who here has heard of David Grush? And I put my hand up. Only about a lot of the others didn't put their hands up, and I thought, that's weird. Because there was like at least 50 people in the room, and only like about 8 of them had turned at David Grush. I was disappointed, but there you go. He talks about his the various things he's done, like his urbexing in Rudlow Manor, and his hacktivism, how he hacks various organisations. In fact, he was prosecuted for making a crop circle. He's the only guy that's ever happened to, which is something he wears on his shoulder with great pride. By the way, do you like my badge? Someone just gave me that. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I think I showed you that earlier. And he talked about the DI-55 documents that he found about UFOs. And he broke into this secret base in London. It's like a normal house. He had to abseil up the walls where no one was looking, climb in through the air vents and climb down these ladders into this sub-basement, which is like a bunker, like for a nuclear bunker. An entire facility there. It's out of commission now, but he's really managed to do. Honestly, that guy's got balls of steel. And he talks about how he had been also arrested outside Rudlow Manor when in this case he was outside the main gate of the base, the active base, not the manor house. And these security guards drove up and they literally pointed weapons at him. On public land. That's how concerned they were by him. He thinks they know who he is and they know when he's around because they know his number plate and stuff like that. And to be honest, Matthew's not exactly a stealth actor. He's quite open about what he does. He has his secret vault is a public YouTube channel where he records all kinds of things, including his urbexing, which tends to be in secure premises. His latest adventure is when he went to RAF Machrihanish, or former RAF Machrihanish, and I'd look around there. So, yeah, well, that's interesting stuff, Matthew. I mean, I hope you saw Matthew. I did a little interview with him earlier. He's pretty good. Now, John Billingsley talked about the talking heads, a capital issue. And he didn't, funnily enough, mention the Hexham heads. However, he did talk about other stone heads that have been dug up in Yorkshire. And he showed them to Anne Ross. Now, Anne Ross is very well known because she's the historian who studied the Hexham heads. And had an experience with them where she saw like a lycanthrope, a wolfman, in her house, which led her to believe they were real. Now, these heads the Hexham are the most famous ones, but there's lots of others, stone heads that have been created. Now, the Hexham heads were dated to the 1st century, therefore they're sort of late Iron Age, early Roman, and were therefore probably used by the Druids for some kind of ritual. And the idea is that many of these others are the same. They're built essentially by the Celts, and there's some dispute over whether the British people have ever been Celts. I mean, apart from speaking the Celtic language, some people say, well, there's too much difference in culture between Britain and the rest of the continent, even though they spoke the same language and stuff like that. But he wrote a book called Stony Gaze about these, calling them Celtic or other heads, because there was a little bit of a dispute over whether these were actually Celtic, because they themselves are undateable. They were found in certain strata and were considered
similar to those found in the Latin culture, which is a major part of the Celtic civilization. The Celts were one of the great classical civilizations, along with Greeks and Romans, and contrary to popular belief. And I'm not going to have a big rant about this. If you look at my visiting the Senedd video, I go, why I am not a Welsh nationalist. I talk about this in detail. But the word Celt and Celtic, as it's used in the world today, is completely misused and misunderstood, and I think distorted deliberately by nationalists in Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. The Celtic civilization actually influenced the modern world in all countries in this continent and beyond, not just the ones where their language, the descendant languages from the language they spoke, happened to be spoken. This is literally the only reason why we call those countries Celtic, and it's wrong to call them that just because their language happens to be spoken there. But then similar things have been found in Korea and Japan. Now, funnily enough, John has come up with this idea that some of them may actually be medieval, and he knows for certain that there are stone heads in Cumberland that sort of date back even later, 17th, 18th century. And he wonders if there's a connection to, they actually depict severed heads. Now, there's always been a kind of the severed head is a very, very powerful, it's a very powerful archetype. And beheading has always been a form of execution, a very, very potent form of execution. Not least because it's very certain, it's very easy, and it's quick and it's relatively painless for the victim. But also it's very gruesome. There's a lot of bleeding because you bleed from your neck. There's a huge amount of bleeding as a result, and the stump of the neck is actually it's full of all kinds of arteries and veins. There's lots of catastrophic bleeding at that point, and also the fact that the head is sort of the source of the personality, including with the modern materialistic faith or belief, if you want to believe, and which I do call it that. I know that's controversial to call materialism a belief, but it is. In a sense, it is a form of superstition, I would say. But it's very often it's regarded, the brain as regarded the source of everything that it makes you. This is why if you watch my video called Cryonics, I did a series of videos about cryonics. You'll know that many of the people who agree to be frozen after death agree to only have their head frozen, not their whole body. Because the materialistic paradigm says, the materialistic dogma says that. So there could be connection here to severed heads, and this takes us back to the first talk of St. John Wall. This was Joanna who talked about St. John Wall, the man who was beheaded, whose head is buried somewhere in Chingley Abbey or Chingley Manor. And of course, guillotining is. And the reason guillotining was adopted as an execution method was its speed. And it's associated primarily with France because, of course, this was the method of execution during the Revolutionary Terror, in which in the late 18th century, because the revolutionaries believed they had to kill as many people as possible who were from the Ancien Régime. So you could basically line them up and go next, next, next. It's a good way of getting rid of lots of people quickly. So it could be that that is what it is exactly, yeah. And of course, there's connections. As I said, the connection to modern neurology is well known. And there's even the idea of that, despite the fact that it is probably, if I had to be executed, it's probably the method of execution I would choose, simply because it's the one that's least likely to go wrong. And if I have to be executed, I'd like it to be quick and painless if possible. There's this legend of the living heads. When Mary, Queen of Scots, was actually beheaded, apparently her eyes open and she's tried to speak. Her severed head actually formed words, although it couldn't speak, obviously. And it was actually a minute or more before her eyes finally closed and she died. Funnily enough, this is an aspect of Wolfen, the novel by Whitley Strieber, pre-Alien. I remember in Wolfen there's a scene where they come across these heads, and these people are beheaded and their mouths keep moving like they're trying to talk.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And then the final speaker was Genevieve Gorrell. Now, she says, "Is life a massive multiplayer online role-playing game?" And she comes out. Her background is in IT. She studied artificial intelligence, and she's also a Buddhist and very interested in Buddhism. And the idea of the simulation theory. This is very interesting. The simulation theory. I could say an awful lot about this. There's nothing new about it. It's very old. It actually dates back to the beginning of history. I mean, before computers were invented, people now talk about the matrix and how we're living in a computer simulation. Before computers were invented, people used different metaphors. Plato talked about the universe being shadows on the wall of a cave. There's been a lot of, there's Descartes' demon as well. That's another element of it. Now, there's been a lot of to and froing in scientists. One of the proponents is Nick Bostrom, who's actually he's a regular at the Bilderberg Group. There's another scientist called somebody Vaz who says it's impossible. And they said, well, it could be possible if certain elements of the game or the simulation were simplified. For example, if some people were NPCs, then it wouldn't need to be terribly complicated. And that's really amazing because, of course, the NPC is the latest thing in pop psychology, isn't it? And as I said, the NPCs if the NPC meme were real, it would explain so much of human behavior. It would be the key that unlocks so many mysteries in human behavior. And there's things such as the golden mean, the phi proportion, and the Fibonacci sequences you find in spirals, where also the natural spirals, whether it's a seashell or whether it's a hurricane or a galaxy in space, their spirals fit into these rules, the golden mean, the Fibonacci sequence. And there's David Bohm and the idea of the holographic universe. Now, this leads to Anthony Peake's Bohmian IMAX. Now, the Crafty Nihilist just did a video a couple of months about that. I was actually on it for part of it, where Mark of the Crafty Nihilist actually does a big lecture about David Bohm. It's very interesting. I got a link to it on Pan My Voice. And they showed these various computers. There's several videos where there's very simple computer programs have been set up, which I don't quite understand them, but they illustrate this point how such a thing could work. And of course, there's quantum physics now as well, which is like it's the latest thing. There's what the bleep do we know? And it would also explain lots of what we call the mind-body problem, which is something I'm very interested in. That would be consciousness issues and stuff like this, because she says there's no in the material framework, in the materialistic paradigm, you can't actually fit conscious experience into it, despite lots of people saying that, claiming it. Lots of skeptics will claim it, but it can't be fitted in. The big question is, who's the programmer? Where's this simulation coming from? If the entire universe is a simulation, who created it and why? Or is it some kind of non-intelligent generation? Has it risen naturally, like evolution, which emerged naturally, and there's no watchmaker behind it, as Richard Dawkins says? Maybe the simulation is the same. Maybe it's a peer-to-peer system, to continue the programming analogy. There's a lot of connections here between the Buddhist wheel and the tree of life. So it ties in with spiritual traditions of the past. And indeed, I've mentioned Plato and his theory. And Genevieve mentions this is Genevieve Gorrell. She mentions the difference between mechanical awareness versus qualia. Now, this is her way of saying the easy problem and the hard problem, or the soft problem and the hard problem of consciousness. Now, it's interesting because this ties into the Matrix. When it was my turn to put my hand up, I said, are you aware that the Matrix films as we know them today are not what the Wachowskis wanted? And this is true because there's like an interview with Keanu Reeves, and Keanu Reeves is a very shy guy. He doesn't give many interviews, but he did give one on his 60th birthday, where he said, because he was a creator, he was a friend and collaborator of the Wachowskis. He wasn't just an actor and they were the director. He was a creator of the Matrix. And he said that the philosophical issues in the Matrix were very watered down. because Sony Pictures, the studio, wanted an action movie. So they sort of emphasised the martial arts scenes and watered down the philosophy. So it would have been even more profound if the Wachowskis had had their way. As it happens, the Wachowskis did produce a very authentic movie called Cloud Atlas, which is probably my favourite movie. But I just say, it's strange that if this is a simulation, it doesn't seem to mind us talking about it. It doesn't mind Genevieve here giving a lecture about it. It doesn't mind me asking questions about it. And of course, there's lots of other. She brought up near-death experiences, Eben Alexander, and I mentioned Anthony Peake, and she talked about the bardo, which is in Buddhist belief is like the afterlife you go to between, but you can reincarnate if you're not ready for enlightenment. It was a really interesting. The content of her talk was brilliant, and I'm so fascinated by it. I must say, when it comes to public speaking, she's probably not the best public speaker in the world. I think probably because she lacks experience. That's the most likely reason she's not good at public speaking. If you go to my channel, my first public speech is still online. It's one I did in 2012. It's still on my channel, and I wasn't very good when I first started out. It's something you learn. It's something you gain knowledge of. And I mean, even though, like I said, I didn't like her style particularly, the content of her talk was excellent, and it's something I'm really, really interested in. So those are absolutely fantastic speakers. All of them were really good. I mean, there's no bad speakers, I would say. No bad speakers at all in this particular conference. They were all excellent, and I'm really, really grateful to each and every one of them for their talks. I really, really am. So, brilliant stuff. Now, going to go on and have dinner with Rhiannon and Michael.
Oh, that was a lovely meal. I've just had a lovely dinner at the Gemma restaurant, a lovely curry house here in Lytham St. Anne's, pardon me. And I'm now heading for the hotel to see the others have a little nightcap before bed. And had a good conversation, reiterating things I've said before, but I had like a frank conversation. I like those. I like those frank conversations because I've had a few glasses of wine, so I'm a little bit tipsy, and so I had one of those frank conversations where I'm honest and I'd say things to people I don't often say to other people. I'll probably say something like that. What I talked about, I'll probably talk about it on the channel at some point. Indeed, I have in a couple of my videos, like my Nice Guys videos. And I just sort of like talk to my friends about that, which is really, really good. There we go, over the Ponte Vecchio of the North. And you see, they have the blue spikes on these lights, but when you get down to the main drag, they've got rid of them. I don't know if that's deliberate or what it is. Anyway, it's a bit breezy now. Peaceful walk to the hotel. I'm just in the hotel with my friends behind me. You can see them, and so I'm having a really, really good time right now. Okay, I'm heading back now to the travel lodge. I just left the offshore. It was nice to see those guys again. We had a lovely discussion, really good fun. I spent a couple of hours talking to them. I've had a lovely meal with Rhiannon and Michael, and I've had a lovely few drinks with my friends from Lapis, and I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss them all. Well, I'll see Rhiannon and Michael tomorrow morning, but I won't see the others. Yeah, I'll probably see. We were talking about when we see each other again. Maybe at Weird Weekend North, hopefully before, but we do have these weekly Skype call kind of things, But yeah, it's the sad thing, isn't it? I'm going to get the post-conference blues. I will definitely get them tomorrow, and there's no way out of it. All you can do is just wait for it to pass. Just realise it's because you've had such a good time that you get this big come down at the end of it, But you can't avoid that, because if you didn't get that, it wouldn't be a good event. And of course, because I do live a normal life and I was born into a world where I don't fit in, I've got to go back and be with family and things like that in a world in the place where I don't fit in. I think it's probably it's a part of life. If you're a woo-woo, Anyway, I'm not going to get melancholy about it. I'm going to go back and go to bed. Like, I should add, if you are like me and you're a fan of the KLF, because their music is just like made for the non-conformist and the unconventionalist in every way. Now, It's Grim Up North is a great song, especially if you are up north. Now, the radio edit I'm very fond of, but I've recently discovered the extended version, which I've only listened to a couple of times before. There's the video of it, especially like the Top of the Pops one with the Morris dancers and stuff. In today's world, the way the country is at the moment, I would say it is a subversive song in more ways than one. And among it's got an extra verse with with extra lyrics, and of course, as you know, the lyrics simply consist of, you know, Jimmy Corty reading out place names from North Country. In the extended version, it includes Lytham St Anne's, and that really strikes at me. It really strikes at my heart to hear that. It really does. It's incredible. It's an incredible piece of music. Well, welcome to a slightly gloomy but dry Monday morning here in Lytham St Anne's. Yeah, it's the end of another conference. I just woken up. I slept really well last night. Had some rather strange dreams, a bit disturbing. And here's the Mary Poppins view. So I'm actually not hungry enough for breakfast, so I'm going to skip it. Just going to have tea and coffee. And then it's time to go back to the so-called real world. I got a lot to keep me occupied when I get back, as you'll find out if you watch the channel. Okay guys, I'm using my 30 minutes free Wi-Fi here. Thing is, I've got Ashton. The interesting thing, right, bear this in mind if you went to Travelodge, you get 30 minutes free, but that's per device. It can't tell the difference between, it doesn't know which room I'm in when it logs me in, so you get 30 minutes on each device, not 30 minutes just per guest. So I used up the 30 minutes on my mobile phone. I'm now using up the 30 minutes on my laptop. I didn't know that. It's clever, isn't it? So yeah, something to bear in mind if ever you're in a Travelodge. Alright guys, this is the bit you've all been waiting for, the bit you all love, souvenirs. Yeah, I mean, I know this is kind of funny, but it actually serves a practical purpose. It's a way of aggregating all my belongings into one place so I can make sure I bring them all with me and don't leave anything behind, unless I want to. So to begin with, is a razor. And this is my toothbrush. Now here are my train tickets, although I'm going to have to get another one because I'm going to have to go from Preston, slight change of plan. That's okay. Now this is my badge. Remember the badge I was given? Oh yeah, that's cool. Paul gave me that. That's really a real honour. I'm going to keep that as a treasured souvenir, a real souvenir this time. Nexus, the latest edition, October, November. That should keep me quiet. That should keep me quiet throughout the journey. Now this here is a broken audio player. Now I use these to store SD cards. You see I've got one in there because it uses an SD card, same as my camera. There's another one wrapped up in there. SD cards are really too small to be practical. Miniaturization can be taken too far. And I have to store them this way because otherwise I just lose them because they're such tiny things. Here's my pen. I lost my other pen. I don't know why. It may have fallen through a hole in my bag. It's not a big deal. It's just a disposable. It's not some gold Rolex. It's a disposable. It's just kind of disposable thing, you know, like a cheap black pen. And then but I've got another. This is my spare, so I've been using my spare. Here are my glasses, which are come in very handy. My good old Truth Seekers notebook, which was given to me. Still got it. Still using it after quite a number of years now. That's quite cool, isn't it? Okay, this is a plastic bag. That's the one I use. That's the one I use to take my stuff to the conference every day. This is my mobile phone charger. Well, this damn thing doesn't work very well. I'm never buying anything from that shop again. And here is my camera charger. Luckily, I can plug my mobile phone charger into that because it's got a USB. Okay, moisturiser. Again, I still suffer from dry skin problems. Always will, probably. So I need to take that with me wherever I go. Now, this is the little card. This is my room. 314 is my room number. That's the thing. That's the little card that was used to keep my key in. This is my laptop charger. I wasn't sure whether to bring my laptop, but I did. This is another plastic bag. Here's an FT. I've just finished reading this actually, so I'm going to donate this to the hotel. I'm not going to take it home with me. Here is another plastic bag, and here I've got these things here. So this is basically, that's the agenda for the conference that's just happened. So that's a pretty cool thing to have. Oh, this is my flyer for Weird Weekend North next year, which I'm going to go to and do a reportage. So that's something to look forward to for next year. And this is the same thing. This is just the agenda again, but I cut a little bit off here because I have to write down my contact details for somebody. I really should get some business cards done, shouldn't I? Yeah, that's be a good idea. Anyway, that was this particular adventure's souvenirs. Alright guys and gals, on this fine Monday morning, it's actually nice weather right now. I've got one more task to accomplish before the end of this expedition, and my final task, as I explained earlier, is to find a stick of peppermint rock for a friend of mine, a lady who used to live in this town long time ago. She was very happy when I told her I was going to come here, so I'm now going to buy her a stick of rock if I can find one. The problem is, this is November. It's right out the season. I've never actually, well, I have come to St Anne's once out this far out of season. That was when I went to New Horizons. But I'm going to see if I can buy a stick of rock. I'm going to start with the seafront. It's the place where they usually sell these things. But also, these are also the first places to close out of season. And if I can't, I can't. But I'm going to try. Then I'll try the main street. I've got to meet up with Rhiannon and Michael up past 10, so I've got an hour to look and see. I'll start with the pier shops first, and then work my way along to the kiosk. If the kiosk is shut, I'll just go back to the main street. So, wish me luck, guys. It's one thing I haven't done yet, and I'm sure a lot of you were thinking I should, is have a walk on the beach. I don't have time for a long one, but I can't come here and not have a quick walk on the beach. And the tide, you can just see where the sea is at the moment. It's quite a long way out, but it goes out much further than that. But that is the sea at the moment, and there's the pier. I wanted to see if I can get on the pier, maybe buy something there. But just to have a quick walk around. Many happy memories of walking along here, I'll tell you. Oh yeah, what a place. Doing sky watches with Miles wandering off into the distance, and we're shouting at him to come back. Colin with his special app, so he knows exactly where everything is in space on his phone. Trying to find a gap in the clouds. Oh cool, what a place. Yeah, look at it, what a place. Looks lovely from the shore. As you can see, the kiosk is shut, as you can see, so I'm not going to bother with that. Just going to walk back now up to the pier. What a place. So much feeling, so many memories, so many treasured parts of my life tied up with this place. You see these places are shut in November, seasonal. A lot happens here that's seasonal. I'll see if I can get onto the pier. I didn't have breakfast this morning in the end. I wasn't in the mood, so I decided not to have breakfast. And here was the pier. I think that's all we have, I think. Well, there you go. I can have a look. I'll have a look along here first. There's not much on the pier. It's not a very good pier actually. It's just like an arcade. Have a look and see what's in here. I think it's open on Wednesday. Oh right, so it's shut anyway. There's a cafe anyway. Well, we can get some things over there. Fish and chips, all that kind of place. Alright, well guys, can't actually, they did have a little stall in there with rock, but you can't buy them, you've got to win them on the machines. I mean, there was like an amusement arcade that reminds me very much of Las Vegas. There was some weird guy in there staring at me, so I decided not to film. I don't know what he thought. He thought I looked a little bit old for the usual customers, I expect. So he thought I might be predatory or something, I don't know. Anyway, I'm out of there now. Next stop, I think I'm just going to cross over here quickly. Next stop is one of the shops, I think. That's going to have to be where I go next. And see if I can get some there. If not, I'll have to say, well, mission failed, I'm afraid. But I hope my friend understands. But also, I'll do my best. Yeah. I didn't have breakfast. I was just not. I think after last night's curry, I haven't got room for it. God, I don't have to eat a lot when I'm here. But that's what holidays are for, I suppose. This is a familiar sight to everyone, I'm sure. I don't know why they took the blue spikes. They got the blue spikes here. I don't know why they took them off the. I don't know why they took them off on the main street. That's there you go. And here is the Lord Derby, aka the Admiral. Yeah. Again, many happy memories from that place. I don't know. I get nostalgic when I come here. Yeah. Oh well, no luck there, unfortunately. I found a shop which sold sticks of rock, but it's all Blackpool rock, and I asked them about Lytham St Anne's rock. They told me there's no such thing. So I'm going to have to go back to my friend and say, I'm afraid they don't make such a thing anymore. Maybe they should start one up. A place like this should have its own brand of rock, I reckon. Because it's not just like this is not just like a coal scuttle of Blackpool. Lytham St Anne's has a place, it has a uniqueness of its own, which is separate from Blackpool. In fact, as I've often said, it's an incredibly different place to Blackpool. Anyway, I'm going to go meet my friends now who have an apartment. They have an apartment because they managed to get a self-catering place rather than staying at a hotel. It's a bit cheaper, I guess. So that's my next port of call, and it's on St Albans Road, where the YMCA is. So a little bit more nostalgia coming up. Okay guys, well the Monarch has a new name. It's now called The Sage Apart Hotel, right. Not that I know anything about it, I've not stayed there for a few years. Well, goodbye Lytham St Anne's. After yet another successful and very enjoyable visit here. I'm going to miss the place.
Service to London Euston via Birmingham Street is delayed. This is due to be passenger being taken ill on this train.
Right.
Please listen for further announcements. We apologise for the disruption to your journey today. For customers travelling to London Euston, your next direct and West Coast service is now expected to be in 12:01 to London Euston, departing from platform 4.
Alright, well, there's no real rush. I'm here at Preston Station. As you know, I'm a big fan of this station. They haven't done it up yet and made it modern, which is really cool. Yeah. Still has the black, the mortar between the bricks is still black from the steam locomotive smoke. Yeah, I think that's a really lovely old station. There's no rush. I have to get the 1419 for Crewe, so basically I've got about 3 hours to get there. So it's only a 40-minute journey, so there's no rush at all. I'll take my time. Well, welcome to Crewe, everyone. I'm on a different. I'm going to go over there actually because that's the platform I was on before, and there's a nicer waiting room. I now have to. I have to get to Birmingham. I could see that's the train I could get, 12:49, but I can't. I got to get the 1419 because that's the one I booked in advance. So I've got a wait of about an hour and a half. But it doesn't matter about it. I'm going to head over there to the other. I'm head over to the other platform now. I don't know which platform the train I want is going from. We'll have to wait and see. Oh, guys, I've left Crewe now. So, second of this 3-stage journey home. Train's on time so far. Well, welcome back to Oxford. Almost an hour late. That's British Rails for you. Yeah, definitely. I forgot to film everything, but basically, the train, my connection was delayed by quite a long time, and it kept getting longer and longer and longer. I didn't maybe I should have videoed it, but I mean, it's kind of routine now. I can't remember the last time I went on a train journey, there were no delays actually. I had a little delay on the way up as well. Anyway, I'm back. Had a great time. Thanks to all the organisers. Really appreciate everything they did. All speakers, all the other delegates. It was great to see everyone. Had a fantastic time meeting everyone again, catching up on old friends, making new ones. Can't wait for the next one. And thank you, Panmo TV viewers, for watching. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order.